This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hope you're all very excited for this wonderfully cold but fantastic morning. We are starting here at andBeyond in Ngala. You're with myself, Sean. We got the OD behind the camera. And a special warm welcome to all of the kids that are watching. We're very excited to have you. And please remember, you can send all of your questions to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. We're very, very excited to answer them. What we thought we're going to do is head to the waterhole. This is Clara Dam, where we are at the moment. You can see how cold it is here, that the water is steaming. That's how cold it is. All of that sort of misty fog steam there is coming off the water. You can see the hippos, they're already back inside the waterhole. They're sitting down right there in the middle. And it is just a very, very beautiful start. There they are now. The hippos, they would have been out last night foraging, getting some water, getting some grass, some food, and then made their way back down here just before the sun came up. Now, when I told you it's frosty here, I believe it's, if you parked and you're nice and still, it's about 11 degrees Celsius. As soon as you start moving, I think it drops to about 2 degrees. Very cold. But it's good. Cold is actually wonderful for us. It means a lot of activity from things like lions, leopards, hyenas. So it's actually very good news for us. Now, if you remember, if you're watching Rowan, I'm not going to refer to as Romance, drive yesterday, the Lions was off to the right. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to spend some time here, watch the mist, watch what's happening. While we do that, we're going to send you over to Juma with Tristan, so he can say good morning.
Indeed, we can say good morning. It's a beautiful, beautiful misty morning. As you can see, Gari Dam is enveloped in mist, as it was enveloped in the sounds of leopards yesterday sawing, or last night. It was chaos here at around 4 o'clock this morning. It was very, very loud and lots of leopards calling. Anyway, we'll get into everything now. My name is Tristan. On camera, I've got David. Hello. David, nice to have you on board for the day. Like I say, a beautiful sort of scene this morning as the mist starts to roll across Gari Dam. Now, before we start with our plans and trying to find these leopards, we need to say a very, very big thank you to Sherry Lynn Solinik. She sponsored this safari this morning. And Sherry Lynn says that it was dedicated to David Gitu. Now, a lot of you won't know who David Gitu is, but David Gitu was one of our presenters that we had up in the Mara. And Sherry Lynn says that David emanated knowledge, empathy, and caring about the animals of the land, which is so very, very accurate. If you've met David Gitu and you know him, you'll know full well that that is exactly how he was. He's an amazing, amazing guy. So thank you, Sherilyn. Really appreciate your support on this, and hopefully one day David Gitu will grace our screens again. I'm sure he's watching from Kenya, so it'll be really good to see David again. It's been a while since I've seen him, and like I say, an absolute gentleman. So I can only imagine why you chose him. Like I say, he's a wonderful, wonderful human. All right, so the plan is to try and see if we can find these two cats. Obviously, there's tracks everywhere for the two of them. But the last view apparently was going off the dam wall to the south, or on the other side of the dam to the south. So we're going to try and just quickly see if we can pick those up. Steve is on tracks for male and female going up via tele-access, which potentially could be the first set. But what is exciting about this morning and what is good about this morning is that this is going to be the best golden opportunity we're going to get when it comes to Mulawati. So much of what we've been trying to do in terms of Mulawati is try and find him at some point with an ability to relax him, and unfortunately it's been really tricky because we just haven't found him on kills. But when they mate like this is the prime opportunity, because the drive to mate, and I say mate because I'm pretty sure the way that Tswalu was calling last night, this is an indication that she is in heat and she is looking for a male, and the fact that they're together. But this is going to be a prime opportunity to habituate him. He will then kind of have this drive to mate, and his fear of us will be completely outweighed by the primal sense to breed. And so because Tswalu is so relaxed and she's not going to move away from us, that's hopefully going to mean that he is going to start coming into a situation where he's going to, just try and mate with her and not worry about us, and start to get used to the fact that we're not chasing him, we're not hurting him, we're not doing anything to him. So it's almost like a cub in a way, but this is now a big 90-kilogram male leopard that we're trying to do this with. And so this period now, if they do mate and if they couple together, the next 3-4 days are going to be vitally important in terms of trying to get these cats habituated. If we don't get it right and we don't find them, it's not going to be in our best interest. We really need to do as much as we can to find these cats this morning. The thing is I don't know if they're mating just yet. I think they've paired together, and maybe she's trying to flirt with him, but we're not hearing any audio of mating leopard. So we're not hearing the sounds. Here the tracks are for both of them going. We're not hearing the sounds, and that sound really would drift through this cold winter morning, and so we should be able to, hear them when they start, but it's imminent. The fact that they've come together, the fact that they are making so much noise, that really does indicate that these guys are most definitely going to be mating soon. Okay, now I'm going to try to find them. I've got their tracks here. These are the freshest tracks that there are, still going down the road. And so while I look for her and him, let's send you across to Jared at andBeyond Phinda to say good morning.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve, and a special warm welcome to all the little kiddies watching today. My name's Jared, and we've got Marcel behind the camera. So we might not have as exciting news as Tristan does about mating leopards, but we have found some buffalo. So it's a bit of a surprise to me. It is quite early here, and it is a bit of a chilly morning, and you'll often find first thing in the morning when it is nice and cold, the buffaloes are still busy sleeping or huddled up together trying to keep warm. But it seems that this particular herd has decided that it is time to wake up and start to graze. Now, we're in a bit of a raised area at the moment, which is a bit of a crest, and this is your typical area for herds of buffaloes to sleep in. One of the reasons why they like to sleep up on these crests is because hot air rises, and with the winds that blow will blow the hot air up the hillside, and that therefore this herd will stay warmer for longer. So this is a breeding herd. You'll notice that there's quite a few individuals. I haven't managed to count them yet, but if I had to do a quick count, I reckon there's about 30 or 40 of them. And I said it's a breeding herd because it consists of males, females, and babies. So let's see if Marcel can find some of the young calves in this herd. I can see one or two of them. Oh, there's a warthog. I just thought I saw a young calf. It was a warthog running between the herd. There are one or two of them who are probably about 4 or 5 months, where you can see the horns are a couple of inches long. But as we found this herd earlier, I did see a newborn buffalo calf, probably only about a month or so. The problem is this grass is just too long, so I think we're going to battle to see it through the grass. So yesterday with Steve, you would have noticed that there were oxpeckers feeding on or off of the buffaloes. So Marge, you are correct. It is dramatic all over this morning. You've got Tristan looking for mating leopard, which would be very exciting to see. We've got this herd of buffalo, and in fact we've just had reports that a pride of lions has been seen maybe about 5-10 minutes from where we are here. So I think today we're going to have another action-packed day like we did yesterday. So like I was saying about the oxpeckers, is that it's still just a little bit too early. They're probably all still roosting in the top of the trees. I think if we had to sit here for another 10-20 minutes, we would see far more oxpeckers coming in. As I say that, I think I've just spotted 1 or 2 oxpeckers on a buffalo. I do indeed. So it seems that I was wrong. They're not all roosting at the moment. But as the day goes by, you will find that more and more oxpeckers will join up with this herd of buffalo. So the type of oxpeckers that we have here, is the red-billed oxpeckers. The yellow-billed, which is the other oxpecker species that we have in South Africa, unfortunately doesn't live in this area anymore. They did once upon a time live here, but their numbers have dwindled dramatically, and you really only find them in the northern and central parts of Kruger, and if you're lucky, in the southern ends. Well, talking about birds, we're going to head over to Steve, who's going to be doing a spot of birding.
Thanks, Jared. Well, we've come across a number of birds making an enormous amount of noise, and the reason is, there we go, there's a crested barbet shouting and shouting, and now on the top of this tree that we have here, we've had batises, we've had all sorts of birds, pruniers shouting at him, and now if we go up, he's moved up to the top there, BK. There we go. Here's a little pearl-spotted owlet. Oh, hello, little fellow. You can see the little black spots on the back. There we go. There's the false eyes, everybody. If you weren't sure how to tell the difference between a pearl-spotted and a barred owlet, the back of the head, those 2 little false eyes, is a very, very good way to go about it. And you can see that that barbet is almost the same size. He's not as scared as the rest of the birds are, but you can hear everybody else is shouting. Good morning, everybody. Welcome again to Djuma Private Game Reserve. My name is Steve Falkins, joined by BK Cameron. What a start to the morning. Very excited to have you with us. We're going to go back over to the pearl-spotted owl. They're regarded as diurnal, or more importantly, crepuscular hunters, which means that they're very active at dawn and dusk, and they feed on anything up to the size of a pigeon. So they are a formidable predator, very, very powerful for their size. And whenever you hear birds making all the noises you can hear now, have a look around and you'll find something. We came out this morning with anticipation to pick up on some leopard tracks because of Shadulu's antics last night. She was calling, and I was almost certain she's looking for a mate. We found female and male leopard tracks just outside camp. I've been tracking the male, who is practically running towards the west, towards where we last left Shadulu, and his tracks have now veered off again. So I do believe that a male and female have been seen on the dam camp, and Tristan is on his way down there to see if he can figure out where they are. And we're going to do a big loop around on the northern side as well to see maybe where they got together. And wouldn't it be wonderful to show you some leopards having a bit of a date today? Now, this little owl is tiny in comparison to the other owls that you find, and it's why, boys and girls, they choose to be active in the daytime, because they don't have as much competition against bigger owls. Bigger owls are a very big problem for a small owl like this. So they've decided to choose to be more active during the day. A little scarf, yes, but can you see those false eyes on the back of the head there? You see when it looks, it's got eyes and then it's got eyes on the back. So that's a protective mechanism. It means that certain birds would be scared to attack it because they think it's looking at them. So they are a very bold hunter, feeding on insects, rodents, bats, lizards, snakes, and birds. Okay, well, Sean has managed to come right this morning, and he's managed to find a lion cub over at andBeyond and Ngala. Let's go have a look at the cuteness.
So indeed, we did find the lions. We actually figured out if any of you back at home rewind to our opening scene, the lions were actually in that scene. They were on the left hand side of the waterhole. We spotted them, and as you can see, there's that little one. Now what she's doing is, it looks like she might try and play with the bigger cub. Well, one of the other youngsters, one of the older ones, further to her left, the left of the screen. But yes, we got the whole pride here. There you see he's watching her intently. It's actually a female, so she is watching that young cub intently. But if you have a look now that we sort of zoomed out, I mean, firstly, just such a beautiful setting. The waterhole in the background, the sun coming, the mist, you know, all of the lions spread out here. Every now and then one of these hippos starts to call. It's actually really, really beautiful. But what I was going to say is, you have a look now as OD zooms in again.
Sunrise of the day, please.
That is a beautiful sunrise. That is indeed. That it looks like these lions caught something last night. Looks like they definitely fed. You can see all of them got very full bellies, especially the older white one. Now here, look at that one. So that's one of the young males. One of the sort of just over a year and a half, 8 months. But look at that white one. I mean, beautiful there in all his off-white fat glory. And now we're just sort of hypothesizing as to what they ate. Most of them do look pretty full. All of the big females are full. So our first question of the morning from 9-year-old Ilana. So now Ilana is wanting to know how we tell if it's a male or a female lion, and also especially when they're young. So Ilana, let's start. So obviously when they're old, it's quite easy. All the males have these big manes, where the females don't. So just quickly, Odie, would you just zoom in on the female on the left with their head up? There we go. So Ilana, if you look at that one, so that's a female. She's an old female. But you can see on her chest, on her neck, there's no mane there. So when they're old, that's how we know that's a female. Now all of the males are lying flat. But then if we have a look at the one cub that's got its head in the air, that's grooming itself, that's also a female. So sorry about that. Looks like we had a few technical internet difficulties. But it seems like we're back, fully functioning. So we were just answering Ilana's question about telling the difference between male and female. And if we zoom in on the young white male, the one on the down there, you can see, Ilana, if you look under his neck there, you see where it's very, very dark? Well, a lot darker. So that's sort of his mane starting to come through. So you just look at the hair, Ilana, and that will tell you if it's a male or a female. Otherwise, you can always use biology and look at the genitals. So you can see here what OD is focusing on over my head is one of the Ross males. So that is the one that joined up with the Pride right at the end of drive last night. So he's fast asleep. That is the friendlier of the two Ross males. And you can't see now, oh look, the one female's up. You can't see now, but the young Birmingham male is also there, very close to that Ross male, maybe 10 meters away from him. You see female coming, very social lions. So okay, bumped head with that one youngster. Now it's coming to bump heads with this other female, or just a greeting. Just saying good morning, do a bit of grooming with each other. As we said, they did eat last night, maybe something like a zebra or a wildebeest, possibly even a waterbuck. They're not feeding at the moment, but the fact that they're all full, suggests that it's something big enough to feed everybody. So not an impala, so I think maybe a wildebeest or a waterbuck. We're getting some comments saying that it's a very cute scene, and 100%. I mean, it's a fantastic way to start the morning. Absolutely fantastic way to start the morning. Some fat, sleepy lions. Some fat, sleepy lions. What I'm waiting for, though... Ooh, there's another one getting up here. You can see, I mean... Oh. Okay, so you can see they're quite lazy. It's a get up, walk 3-4 meters, and then flop down again. We're going to spend a little bit more time here just watching them sleep, see if anything happens, see if that other young cub comes out. While we do that, what we're going to do is send you across to Jared at andBeyond Phinda. It sounds like he's got some rhinos.
From one beautiful scene at Ngala to another beautiful scene here at andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. Ladies and gentlemen, we have found one of the smallest rhinos I have ever seen as a guide. Now, you might not be able to see it at the moment. So, oh, there we go. You could get a view. Look at that tiny little rhino. It basically looks like a warthog running with them. So you've got a female and what is potentially her old calf and her brand new born calf. You'll notice that her tail is up and curled at the moment. That is a sign that she's uneasy. And one could be because she's got her calf. But it is also that there was a large male busy harassing her maybe only 2 minutes ago. So they're trying to get away from that male at the moment. This is amazing. All I can see right now is the ears of that calf running through the grass. It almost looks like there's a rabbit with those long ears. So for those of you who have just joined and potentially this being the first time, Lauren Moore, I agree with you 100%. This is far too adorable. All right, I'm just going to edge forward slowly and not to chase them away. See if we can get one more view. So like I was saying, for those of you who maybe this is the first time that you've seen a rhino on WildEarth, just to give you a little bit of a backstory, is that we have decided here at andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve that we are more than happy to film rhinos. It is something that we have been doing for a couple of years, where we have been taking photos and filming and putting it up on social media. So it is nothing new for us. And the reason why we are happy to film the rhinos here is that these rhinos are extremely safe. And they're safe for 3 reasons. One, we have a very good relationship with the community, and so they don't come and poach here, and if there are any poachers coming to the reserve, they let us know. Number 2, we've got an excellent anti-poaching team. But oh, you see, she's busy chasing. That's her old calf, and that's how I know it's her old calf. She's not happy to have her old calf following her. So around the time that she gives birth, she'll be kicking her old calf out because that calf could potentially pose some danger towards her young calf. Anyway, and back to why we can film them. And 3, and probably most importantly, is that you may have noticed that none of these rhinos had their horn, and we dehorn our rhinos. Now, this might seem interesting for some of you, and it is actually a process that is not harmful to the rhino at all. It is basically like you taking nail clippers and cutting your fingernails off. It doesn't harm the rhino. We cut them at about a couple of inches from the base of the face, so that there's no cuticle, and we just trim that horn off. And what we would use is we have a vet. He comes in, darts the rhino, sedates it, cuts the horn off. The rhino wakes up a couple of minutes later, and I promise you it wakes up like nothing happened. They'll go straight to feeding within 5-10 minutes of waking up, sometimes even sooner than that. And now that we've removed the horn, it has lowered the value of this rhino for poachers. So poachers do not come to andBeyond Phinda anymore to poach for the rhino horn, and that is exactly why we are happy to film them. And I'm excited to film them because now I can educate all of you back home. And I'm sure, just like all the kiddies are excited about seeing this little rhino calf, I am just as excited. It is not something we see very often. Atty, you are correct. This is very interesting rhino behavior, and it is very typical. So that calf that is busy following her at the moment, so her old calf, once it's kicked out, it's still busy in the process. As you can see, it's trailing mom. It's saying, why do you want to kick me out? It will go find another rhino. Now, it will do one of two things. It will either go find a rhino that is also being kicked out like it has, or it will go find a female rhino with an older calf. So this calf being probably only a couple of days to weeks old, I suspect. I haven't had a really good look, but I don't think it's older than a week. Oh, she's busy urinating at the moment. So her calf to the right is probably around 2.5, 3 years old, and it will go look for a female that's got a calf maybe around half a year to a year. Those mothers are more than happy to, let's use the word adopt, although that's not necessarily exactly what they're doing, to almost temporarily adopt this new youngster that is looking for companionship. We do have a couple of crashes, yes, a group of rhinos known as a crash. We do have a couple of crashes of orphaned rhinos, if you want to call them that, of about 4 or 5 of them who have been kicked out and decided to stick together for company and safety. One of the reasons why these youngsters who get kicked out want to go join up with other rhinos of either their age or an adult is purely for safety. An adult rhino is very, very safe from predators like lions, but young rhino do have to worry about the dangers of other lions. And by being around an adult, she will protect herself and all the calves with her. So Desert, I'm so glad that you love seeing these rhinos, and I absolutely love showing them to you. And how fantastic is this light at the moment? We've got these big grey-skinned animals contrasting to the yellow and golden light that is coming off on the top of the grass. I can just see the calf again. Oh, my day has been made. It is a pretty cold morning here, but this little calf that we have has most certainly warmed up my morning, and I am in fact feeling warmer just from all the excitement that I have. You'll notice that this older calf is trailing from about 20 to 30 meters behind, and that is very typical. If it gets too close to the mother and the calf, she's going to turn around and she's going to chase it away. And although in some ways I hope that we don't see it, it is just interesting behavior, and they make quite a strange sound when they do that. They go woo. So that was an that was an absolutely terrible impression of a rhino trying to chase away another rhino. I'll have to work on that and get back to you exactly what it sounds like. But let's go from one baby to another. Let's head over to Sean with some lion cubs.
So we managed to find both of the little cubs now. Very, very playful. So you can see, it looks like the young female, which is the one on top, doing all of the attacking. She definitely seems to be the aggressor in this little sibling life. She's doing a lot of the biting. She was trying to attack the mother's face. Oh, the mother's face now. So you can see the one doing all of the walking, the one on the left now attacking the elephant tongue. That is the young female. You can see slightly darker in color than the young male. So if you remember the first time we saw them in the river, as the cubs came closer to the vehicle, the mother would sort of growl and just call them back. So we got a question from 10-year-old Cecilia asking, how big do I think this lion pride is going to get? And are these females going to have more cubs? So, Cecilia, it's big at the moment. We've got 18 lions here. Now, most of these females, well, all of these females, the adult females, see, they're not going to give birth, they're not going to mate for at least another year, minimum another year. Probably closer on 1.5 years to 2 years before any of them mate again. And then once they've mated, it's another 3 months gestation. So you're probably looking at roughly 2 years before the next set of cubs is born. If everything goes to plan and all of these cubs survive, it will be 2 years before they mate again. So what that means is for the next 2 years, this pride won't get bigger than 18. If anything, it will get slightly smaller when some of these males leave the pride. So I think it will probably stay around 18. Then there's 3 males that are currently in the pride. They will leave, so it'll take it down to 15. That young male should leave, so it'll be down to 14 again. And then, by that time, these females will be getting ready to mate again, and then it will probably go up to 18, maybe 20, and then it will drop again depending on the males and the females and the cubs. So it fluctuates, but won't be higher than 18. You can see she's still got that injury on her back left leg, but it looks like it's healing quite nicely. It's not inhibiting her. You see she's walking perfectly fine. No limp, nothing. She might be going down for a drink. Yeah, heading to the water hole for a drink. And what we're going to do, let's actually follow her. You can see it looks like that young white male is going to join her. We're not going to go too close as we don't want to obviously spook those little... Oh, just have a look at that. The young white male is coming to investigate the cubs. Now that mom's gone, you can see not too much concern. The cubs just playing with each other, playing with him. You see, very gentle though. He just came in, smelt, using his head. Hasn't used a paw yet. But so incredible. Hey, one of 3 wild lions, wild ones in the world, playing with these little cubs. Now the other, so now look at that. So this one on the right is a female. Yeah. Now you can see, see that one's using its paw. Now you can see the cub starting to growl a little bit at it. Now the mother heard that growl. She's turned around and she's watching. She's coming back now. So you see she heard the cub growl. Look at that. You see, quick little trot over here, head down. She's watching intently. They're just going to stand right in between those youngsters and the actual cubs. Just blocking them off, telling them, keep your distance. Don't. Yeah, Tricia, that is 100% correct. As soon as that mother left, these little youngsters, these little cubs were by themselves, and the other ones thought, yes, now's our time to investigate, to go play. Let's see what they are. Let's figure it out. And they tried. And then Mom heard one of the cubs sort of growl like that. And she came back, and those other 2 youngsters just stopped immediately. They stopped and they turned and they're like, we were not doing anything, we promise. Because they know they're being naughty. They know they are. It's like a baboon. When you see it in the camp, or hyena that you see in the camp, they know they're being naughty. They're just trying their luck. And that's what happened. Those youngsters came, all unattended cubs. Let's have a look. Mom heard, Mom came back, and they're like, it wasn't me. It's exactly like a human. Oh, you see, watch the young male cub here. Looks like he's stalking his sister. See, nice and low, sort of crouched down, just practicing. He's like, I got you. He gave his sister a surprise there. OD, just pan to the left here if you can. So, guys, it looks like the other Ross male is coming here. The meaner brother, the one with the darker mane. There you can see he's actually scent marking on the tree. Oh, that is beautiful light on his mane. So that is actually, from a distance, the one that I thought was the young Birmingham male. Our favorite little teenage one. But it turns out, as you can see clearly now, that he's standing and he's out in the open. It is the other Ross male. So it looks like both Ross males are here, but no young male that I can see. More than likely that young male is here. He's probably just a little bit further away, lying in a bush, trying to hide, but stay sort of close to the pride. But we're going to sit here, though, because I think once he's done drinking, there's a good chance that this male might get up, walk sort of in our direction towards the pride. How beautiful is that? You got him sort of silhouetted against the water. It's reflecting the sky and the sunrise. I'm sure you can all agree with me. It's not a bad start to our Wednesday morning. Not at all. Romance and Rowan was today. Last night. You know, it's amazing how these lions can find each other. We only heard, well, we heard both males calling, but we only saw that one male join up with the pride yesterday. And then this one still managed to find them. I just don't know where, you know, me and OD, we don't know where to aim the camera. We got the cub playing with one of the other youngsters on the right-hand side. We got, mother's getting involved now. We just don't know where to aim. You see, so she's got the young male with her there. I don't know if you could hear that little one calling. But she actually went over there to go and play with that older youngster and started attacking its tail. And then all it did was defend itself. Oh, okay, fantastic. So apparently you did hear some of those little squeaks from the little female. See, she's an aggressive one though. Attacking the elephant dung. If you remember, a couple days ago, is the one in the river that was carrying the elephant dung. Looks like she's got a bit of a thing with attacking the elephant dung. Or you can just sit here the entire morning and watch them play like this. That's probably exactly what we're going to do. That elephant dung is not having a good day. Emma, you're right. Not at all. Oh, now they're both attacking the one. Oh, the Ross male's coming straight towards us now. We're going to switch around. See, he's scent marking again. There are a lot of acts of dominance here. It's the second time he's scent marked since we sort of saw him stand up. Remember, he did it on the tree where he sprayed his urine onto the tree. So now that is a bit more of a permanent mark. You know, any animal that walks past the tree, you can smell that. What he was just doing right there, sort of urinating and scraping his feet in it. So that when he walks like this, that scent goes every time he puts his back feet down, he puts his urine scent there. Which is more of like a boundary type of marking. Very, very big. Look at it, full stomach in great, great condition. You can see all of the scars on the face and a much, much darker mane than his brother. And he's done. that was it for his morning. So that's the brother there. You can see the pale part, that's his stomach. Also looking very, very full though. But the male's notoriously lazy, and they must have obviously joined up with the pride last night, eaten probably more than their fair share, and now being lazy. But while we watch them sleep, what we're going to do is send you across to Tswalu Kalahari, where Dylan would like to say good morning.
Good morning everyone from another gorgeous day out here at Tswalu Kalahari. Yet again it's Jandre on camera, and my name is Dylan. You've met both of us. It's just good having you with again. Those of you who joined us yesterday afternoon, we did the naming for the matriarch female of the Khosa group. So they're all still in bed. There's their burrow system over here, so we're just waiting for them to get up. The sun is still quite a way away. I reckon probably another 20 minutes before it's actually on to us, maybe 15 minutes. Yeah, so we're just going to bide our time over here. And remember, her name, Morsadi, which means lady or female in Tswana, the local language. Setswana is actually the language. Tswana is the group of people, and Setswana is the actual language. So we just wanted to use a local name, which is, and you all voted for it. Andre wanted to call it something completely different, but we decided voters' choice, which is wise. But I've got something interesting to show you while we're here. On the ground over here, when we came up this morning, and this is like 10 meters, not even 10 yards from the Meerkat burrows, there's this little burrow over here. And this is a burrowing scorpion. The chance of actually luring her out is incredibly small, but I'll give it a little bash. I don't think she'll respond. It's like too cold at the moment. But they form these teardrop-shaped burrows like that, and you can actually see lots of little footprints, all these little indentations around the entrance. That's her been doing her burrow maintenance to keep it nice and clear downstairs. She comes out, pushes the sand out in a big mound in front of it. And these burrows can go down to over 1 meter deep. So we're going to see if there's any response over here. It might take a while, and there's no guarantee of it. So I think in the meantime, while we're doing that and getting that set up, head over to Tristan and some cool elephants.
We are with some ellies. We're trying to find these leopards, but they've literally walked everywhere. So it's deciphering and decoding what is fresh and what isn't, and what's worth following and what isn't. The last tracks that I have that we know of fresh are the ones at Gari, Lion and Central, but they disappear from that junction. Can't see where they go. It's almost like he just levitates and vanishes, and she actually comes running back up the road, which suggests that she was walking ahead and then he turned off and she came back to kind of find him. But it's weird because it's on a really open section and both of them just kind of disappear there. So I think they've turned back into the Mulawati, which is why we're in the Mulawati, and this is just a herd of ellies. I suspect that is part of the herd we had last night, one of the groupings that was in amongst all of that, all of those elephants that we had. There's elephants last night. There was a serious amount of them. There was well over 50 by the end of it. After we left, another herd joined as well, so there's a lot going on, but it seems like they've separated this morning into smaller groups, because there's a group here, there was a group a little bit further north, and Steve says he's got a group further north of here, so I think they just all kind of separated out and they just joined at the waterhole last night. And with the commotion and the noise, I think more and more made their way into that area to see what was going on. Now, of course, we're trying to drive this Mulawati system to try and see if we can find these cats. They haven't made a single noise at this stage. When we've been off, I've been on foot, so I haven't heard any audio for a leopard mating, which is strange. If a leopard mates, they make a lot of noise, and now normally when they first join together like this, it's at the kind of peak of the mating. They go crazy in the beginning, and so it's weird to see that we haven't heard anything as yet. I know of all the leopards, Wati, it's him. But like I say, there's a silver lining to this Mulawati cloud is that because of this, we hopefully can find her, we can find him, and spend some time with him. And then coupled with that is it means that if she's mating with him, it's very possible that when she dens, that she's going to den closer to or on the western side of Juma, somewhere where she can potentially feel safe. I suspect she's going to mate with Hukumuri as well. I mean, I'm almost sure that that's going to take place at some point, but you know, it'll be interesting to see if this mating is successful. Kaylin, who's age 10 from Ireland, you say good luck finding those leopards. You know that I will. Well, hopefully. I mean, between Steve and I, we're hoping that we're going to find them. You know, the problem with it is, I think what's happening is she's still at that phase where she's following him. And so he's hearing the cars and maybe just running off, and she's following and trotting off with him. And so what we need is audio, and or an alarm call. And that's going to really make life a lot easier to pinpoint where they are. And then from there, it's about finding her, not him, in this situation. So, you know, as much as tracking her seems like an easy thing, she's going to mimic his behavior. And so if he starts trotting into thickets when he hears the car, she's going to do the same thing, even though she's a relaxed individual. So what we have to do is we have to get into a situation where we're actually finding or hearing them, and then narrowing it down from there. That's what we need to do, and hopefully then we find her, and then he will come to her. Okay, well, we're going to check. There's no sign of them walking here. You can't see any single track in this area. So I'm going to head back to the last tracks that I had. In the meantime, though, let's send you back across to Sean, who's got the results of when cats mate.
It has been a cuteness overload. The little cubs have been fighting and playing with the mother's tail, trying to bite it. It looks like they were trying to go and suckle the female earlier, but the mother sort of kicked her away, and she's needing a bit of a break. And we were saying yesterday that their teeth are very sharp, like little needles. And when those little cubs try and suckle and they bite the teeth and all of that, it hurts. It hurts the female. So every now and then, you know, she'll try and kick them away. It seems like she's being a bit more accommodating now. So it seems now that the kids' question session is unfortunately over. But that's okay. What we're going to do now is just accept questions from everybody, be you young, old, whatever. Kids, you can still ask. We'll still try and answer all of your questions. See, look at that now, attacking the tail. So that's a, you know, very important. Oh, look at that. It's like she licks the tail, gets a bit of hair, then does a little snarl, trying to get the hair out of her mouth. I mean, that's the male, sorry, his mouth. You see, the mother doesn't like it. We're talking about the teeth being so sharp. And every time the female, the mother, moves her tail, you know, he sort of bites in harder, and it hurts her. You know, standing on it, clawing it, biting it. We are just chatting here in the car now about how she's probably regretting having these cubs. The one was on her head and attacking her ear, the other one was attacking the tail. She was just trying to rest. But she's been a fantastic mother. I've actually been very, very impressed. A lot of times, especially in a pride this sort of size, when you got a new mother, a female like this, whose cubs, first time ever that she's having a litter, it's pretty much by herself in terms of all the other litters are much, much older. And she does, you know, she's away from the pride a lot. She's giving me a little bite at the back there. And what they normally do is they'll leave the cubs for an extended time as the female tries to walk with the pride, be with the pride. But this mother, she's done a fantastic job. So I'm just keeping quiet for a while so you can listen to the noise of the cubs sort of fighting and biting and playing. And take them some toys this afternoon. Give the mother a bit of a break. Wouldn't that be something? But you see what might happen though. You give it a few weeks, maybe 2, 3 to a month, and you'll find that these little cubs will grow quite a lot, and then they'll start playing with the other youngsters, which should give mom a bit of a break. You know, as these cubs get older and they sort of fill out a bit more, get a bit bulkier, then you know they'll be able to sort of hold their own a lot more with these older cubs, these older youngsters, which will then allow them to obviously play with them and give the mother a bit of a break. It's like she's looking at us, listening, and being like, I cannot wait for this month to fly by, Sean. She's like, please help me. So motherhood, very difficult thing, very difficult thing. But did you notice there, when that second cub went to try and suckle, the mother moved her top leg a bit further back. It's just creating sort of easier access to those teats for the cubs. Because the easier the access is, the less fighting, the less biting, the less tugging, which means the less pain for the mother. So she was just trying to give them a much better angle, much better opening. But you'll find now, you can see the sun's coming out very nicely, and it is starting to warm up. So Elise, that is very, very true. So Elise is saying that, you know, is it just her, or have these cubs sort of blossomed and become a lot more relaxed? Elise, 100%, they have become much, much more relaxed. So you saw on that first day, I think it was Rowan that was driving, where the cubs were introduced to the pride, and they were a lot more timid, a lot sort of more shy. You know, the mother would growl every time another lion walked past, and the cubs would sort of hunker down, run into the grass, run into the bush. And you can imagine for them, it's very, very overwhelming. That was the first time, most likely, that these cubs had seen another big lion. And of course, with the curiosity of these other youngsters, you know, trying to get close and paw and sniff is very overwhelming, and that's why the cubs did run away. But now they've been with the pride for maybe 8-10 days, if my maths is correct. Yeah, maybe a week, 7 days. And they're used to it now. You know, they're a lot more relaxed. They'll go out and they'll, you know, sneak up to one of the older ones, bite them, then get bitten, and then call mom. But they have blossomed a lot. They have sort of come into themselves around the pride. Which makes sense. I mean, you could see there's a lot less interest in them from the other cubs, or the other youngsters rather. There's a lot less interest, which gives these little guys, him and his sister, a bit more freedom. And that's the awesome thing, you know, myself and Rowan were talking last night. That's the awesome thing about, you know, what the opportunity that, you know, myself, Rowan, Nikki, Eric have at the moment is, you know, the next 4 or 5 months is going to be us watching these two little cubs sort of grow and come into themselves and develop different characteristic traits and personalities and oddities and everything like that. And it's just so fascinating and special for us to be able to sit here and watch and witness this sort of development and this sort of growth. And the amazing thing is you get to do it all with us. Yeah, JP saying it's so special that, you know, we all get to witness this. And 100% JP, it is incredibly special that we do get to witness this. Yeah, so we're just scanning across there. You can see now that young white male having a drink of water. One of the Ross males had his head up. Because now that the sun's coming out, you know, these lions are getting hot. They're probably going to stand up in the next, well, maybe 15, 20, 25 minutes and move into a bit of shade as the morning starts to heat up. But what we're going to do, we are going to sit here and take in more of this cuteness overload. Watch, see what happens while we do that. It sounds like Jared over at andBeyond Phinda has found his own lions.
So how fantastic, everyone, to have active lions at Ngala, and here we've got some active lions here on Phinda as well. So for those of you who joined yesterday morning, you would have seen the pride of lions that we found with the females and the cubs. Not quite as young as the cubs that they've got at Ngala, but still young cubs. And I've got them just off to our left here. Just going to position so Marcel can see them. And there we go, everyone. How awesome is that? What a great morning for Phinda today. We had 2 rhinos and a tiny little baby. And now we've got 1 lioness and 5 young male cubs. I don't know where the other female is. Yesterday we left the 2 females off busy hunting. And there's either 1 or 2 things have happened. Either they've made a kill, they've come back to fetch the cubs, or the 1 female decided, no, we've just walked too far away for our cubs. You carry on hunting. I'm going to head back, fetch the cubs, and walk towards the area where I last saw you. So when she is in the area where her sister is, we might hear them contact calling. And it's not a roar. It is more of a lower sort of grunt, which sounds like this. Oh. 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 And that's the sounds that they make when they contact call. And so they'll do that when they're in close proximity to the other members of the pride. Yesterday we had the 2 males. Emma says that my lion sound is much better than the rhino. I 100% agree there, Emma. So yesterday we saw the 2 males with these 5 youngsters. This morning I did have some tracks of the 2 males who have left the youngsters. Must have been around the same time that the female joined up, and now they've gone off on their territory patrol. Now the grass is just too long for me to have a look at the bellies of these lions, so it's a little bit tough to see if they have made a kill yet. So I'm just going to try and loop around, get to the other side of the light of them, and we can see if they have fed. But for now it does seem like they're starting to settle up a little bit in the grass. They may have come up to the crest to get the early morning sun. It is quite a chilly morning here today, and so by coming up to the top of the crest would be nice and warm for them. Alright, so the grass is a little bit too long here. Now I'm hoping they might walk into an area where it's a little bit more open, but let's head over to Dylan at Tswalu to have a look at the beautiful sunrise there.
So, meerkats aren't up yet. The sun's just up at least. There's a bit more of a breeze this morning, and it's considerably cooler than it was yesterday, but that's just because of the wind chill, I think. So they're probably going to come up fractionally later than they did yesterday, but I'm expecting now in the next couple of minutes. And with this wind, they might actually spend a little bit more time warming up around the burrows before moving off. So I think we've got some time yet before they'll be out and about. It's so nice being out there, yes. Could be worse places to be. Gives you no, it's stunning. I'm going to do a quick count of the holes here. Julie Legendre is a monster on the camera. I think he's a monster in a lot of ways, but certainly on the camera. But he's okay. Yeah, he's okay. We'll keep him around. So keep the camera still. But I think while we're waiting for these meerkats, head over to Sean with some lions. Doosh.
Don't follow the one with the stick.
Okay, so we do have something interesting, but what we're going to do, we're going to try and turn the car a little bit, so just bear with me. So what happened is, one of the younger ones, the female that was playing with the cubs earlier, went to the edge of the water hole and stole a stick. I think Odie can get it now. So she picked up a stick from the water's edge, and the hippos were all looking at her very carefully. Might be their stick. Anyway, she took the stick and now she's come up the bank. There she is with the stick. So you can see it in her mouth there, and I think her playing with that has attracted these other ones to come and investigate what she's doing. Playing with her very wet stick. But did you see what she did there? Well, she actually walked into the shade of the car and then lay down to play with her stick there. Look at this young male. So look, if he turns there, look at his cheek. You can see there's a little bit of red. It looks like most likely when they were feeding last night. Obviously it gets a bit rough. He might have got a paw to the face, which has actually injured his cheek. You actually see quite a lot of pink skin inside there. And that's what Rowan was talking about yesterday. You know, and the one danger with the mother bringing her young cubs to join the pride already. Firstly, they're moving great distances, which these cubs might not be able to do. But also, the feeding. It gets very aggressive. I mean, look at these three here, just playing with their stick. You know, at the moment, they're playing quite tamely. They all sort of got a little section of stick that they're playing with. But it can get quite heated. And they swat each other and paw each other. I mean, just firstly, that stick must be quite disgusting. It's been sitting at the edge of the water hole. Elizabeth, I think that's exactly what she's like. She's the one in the middle with a very dirty mouth. And I think she's the only one that's not really playing with the stick. She's like, give it back, guys. Amazing how different but similar these lions are to us. You know, if you've got siblings, you know, you grabbed a toy and then suddenly all of your siblings wanted to play with that one specific toy. And you see, I mean, when you have siblings, nothing's private. Everything is shared, even unwantingly. But what we're going to do, we're going to watch them play with the stick. While we do that, we're going to send you over to Tristan, who's got a giraffe not facing these problems.
No, our giraffe doesn't look like it's got a care in the world at this stage. There's some red helmet strikes coiling above us, which is quite nice. I haven't seen them in a while. But we came back to this giraffe, and there's some elephants here with them as well, because the elephants started trumpeting now. It could have been towards the giraffe. But the tracks of those leopards is in this area, so when you hear Eloise trumpeting, you always got to kind of come and look, and just in case they're still here. But we're not winning very much with these leopards. I mean, we've been sitting with our vehicles off, we've been walking, we haven't heard any sound of them actually mating. Steve said to me he found tracks of where they mated and where it looked like they had actually done it. So unless this is a new type of leopard mating where they mate silently, which would explain a lot with Mulawati, because we haven't found him mating with a single female, but yet there's cubs everywhere. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they must be here somewhere. You know, and she's obviously from the west, but he goes everywhere. And like I said, I think it's still at the stage where she's following him. So he's kind of dictating where they're walking rather than the other way around. It gets to a point where once they've kind of gotten together and they've mating started, he will actually follow her to a degree as well. So we're kind of just in the stage where she's following him, so it's his movements that will dictate where she's going. But it just goes to show how far a female will come out of her territory in order to mate with a male. I don't think I've ever seen Shadulu on central Gari Cutline area yet she was there this morning. So, you know, it's amazing to see how the girls go out of their way. And what I think she's going to do is mate with him here, and then she's going to shoot straight back westwards if he doesn't follow her to Hukumuri and go and mate with him. And then she's kind of covering the two males that spend most of their time in this area. But our kind of guesses yesterday when we saw her soaring in the morning was spot on, that she's coming into estrus and looking for a male. I'm just very, very surprised that she's ended up down here with Mulawati rather than back west with Hukumuri. I would have thought yesterday, given where she was at the gate, that that's where she would have gone. But Mulawati was soaring already early yesterday evening, just as we kind of finished the drive. He was soaring at the dam camp, so maybe she just heard that and came trotting down this general direction. Our giraffe seems very unfazed by this all and seems to be enjoying the sunlight. You can see it's got a bit of a defect on its head. You can see that those ossicones are damaged and are not looking great at all, which could just have happened at birth, could have happened during a fight. They're actually quite underdeveloped, funny enough, in terms of the length. They're quite short, so I wonder if it wasn't a birth defect that happened when it was younger. Maybe the horns just didn't stand up nicely, or they broke, like I say, and then the calcification has taken place, has meant he's got a wonky little horn on the right, and the other one, well, hasn't grown too tall either. It's a pretty giraffe otherwise, though. He's got beautiful kind of colors to him. He's got quite a dark coat. There's been some really nice males hanging around actually of late with these beautiful big dark coats that they have. It's been nice. Come on, cats, you guys need to make a noise for us while we're sitting here. No, sorry, if you can say that again for me, Emma. I don't think I got the name correctly there. Prishush. You say you love watching giraffe eat. It is pretty cool to watch, isn't it? It's amazing that they can regurgitate boluses or balls of food from the tummy to the mouth. When you think of how far that is and how much power it must take to push it up as quick as it goes. Pretty amazing. And they always just look as though they're so happy in the sunshine in the mornings when they're ruminating like this. Now, interestingly enough, it's in an area where there's a lot of tambuti, and giraffe are actually one of those that do eat tambutis quite regularly. They like a tambuti tree. It just helps with their digestive systems, gets rid of all the stuff that they're battling to digest a little bit. And they are quite fond of tambuti leaves. Obviously, for us as people, tambuti is not something that you want to eat at all, unless you unless you want to be dead. If you eat the quantities that they eat, then you would go for it. But obviously for us, it's toxic. So they're able to deal with those toxins, and probably due to the fact that their amount of blood versus the toxins that they're getting. It's just so much. The difference is so much that the toxins just don't affect them like it does with us. Alright, well, we're going to try and see if we can find these cats. It's, like I say, until such time as we actually hear them, I think we're really going to struggle. But while we look around and see where they've gone, let's send you across to Dylan at Tswalu Kalahari. Sounds like the meerkats are out.
So they've just started popping out now. A minute ago there was actually 3 out, and then they went straight back underground. And this little one's actually sitting with its back to me now, so I actually can't see which one it is. But soon now that it's warmer, they didn't like the wind, and I think that's why they came out, and then they went back down again. So as it starts getting a little bit warmer, they're going to start coming out again, and they'll start facing towards the sun. And then I'll be able to get a good view. I just don't want to move around now while this one's kind of on sentry duty. It's always try approach animals with an understanding and a respect for their behavior. It's very, very important. Doesn't matter what you're dealing with. That if we interfere, there's obviously potential repercussions for them. You see, I keeps looking up. That's watching out for any kind of predators, aerial threats. And especially first thing in the mornings when they get out of the burrow, you want to be as as little impact on the population as you can, because this is like a crucial time for them. They have no idea what's been moving around in the early hours of the evening, going into the morning, what might be lurking around the burrow system. There could have been a predator that followed them up here that they weren't aware of. So these first few minutes, half an hour or so, is absolutely critical for them, just to like be super vigilant, watch out. There's the second one out now. And that aloe grooming, that, look at that, wow. Yes, they are just adorable. And again, they've both got their backs to me, so I really can't see which one's which. Well, the one's facing me, but the other one's obscuring it, so. Gita, I can't see just from where I'm sitting. The one has got its back to me, and the other one, his face is obscured by the one with its back to me now. So I can't actually see if either of these is the matriarch, but we have a name. We announced it yesterday, but we'll go through it again in a couple of minutes. As soon as I can identify if either of these is in fact the matriarch, then we'll go through it again. But I just don't want to move until they're all out and sunning themselves properly and facing me. Okay, then we've got a third one that's popped out now. And I'm guessing the one sitting with its back to me is the matriarch, but ooh, they are still freezing cold. You can see the way they're hunched over. I know exactly what they feel like. Well, I'm trying to figure out which one's the matriarch. We're actually waiting for them to turn around and face the sun, and I'll be able to tell you very quickly then. I think head over to andBeyond Phinda, where Joel has got some really nice lions.
Yeah, Dylan, just like how your meerkats are trying to warm up, I think these lions are busy doing the same thing. They've walked right up to the sort of top of the crest here, and although they're lying in the long grass, they are getting quite a bit of sunlight on them. Now you'll see that these two that are in a bundle here are busy grooming each other and rolling all over each other, probably sharing a little bit of body warmth. The wind has started to pick up here, and it has dropped the temperature down dramatically. And now we can't see them at all. So we've got the two males over here that we're busy looking at the moment. The female with one of the cubs is off to the right, as you can see in screen now, and they're all lying flat. Let's have a look if that's a female or a cub. It looks like one of the youngsters, so very typical. You'll find the youngsters far more inquisitive, more playful during this time. The mother knows that it's important for her to save energy, and so she's resting as much as she can. As the day starts to warm up, there are a few water holes around here, so we're going to have a movement of impalas, zebra, wildebeest. I actually just saw a warthog walking through here. And, there's a big male warthog walking straight in the direction of these lions. So, Joe, yes, the grass that these lions are busy lying on at the moment is very soft to the touch. And you can see how where these two youngsters are busy lying at the moment, they've completely flattened the grass. And so, Joe, this is probably why they're here as well. It's not only warm, this type of grass that we've got is quite comfortable, and there won't be too many twigs and thorns if they were to lie down poking their skin. And so they will come off the road and lie down here. So there's quite a big warthog coming this direction. Let's see if Marcel can get it on camera. That is a monster male warthog. So these lions won't know that he's there because their heads are down and the grass is long, but at the moment he's sort of crosswind to them. But that is a very large male warthog. You'll see those warts that are below his eyes are extended probably a couple of inches, and he has some impressive tusks. Now as that male starts to walk towards us, And if he walks behind the vehicle, the wind will blow from him towards these lions, and that will catch the attention of this female. These 5 youngsters, being around a year old, are just far too young still to hunt, so they'll just sit off and watch their mother as she goes off and hunts. So the female that's with them at the moment is only the mother of 2 of the cubs. The other 3 are the cubs of the other female, who is probably off hunting as well. Right, so while we wait to see if this warthog comes closer, we're going to head over to Ngala to see some lions busy drinking.
So we have now got all of them coming down for a drink here at the edge of the water. You can see there, one of the big females. It's beautiful with that blue water. That's the sort of backdrop. So you can see most of them coming down there. So very interesting. While you were gone, we had audio. So we heard an entire pride of lions calling in the distance, very, very, very far away. But it sounds like a whole nother pride of lions calling close towards our eastern boundary, probably off of our eastern boundary. And all of these lions sort of looked up, perked in that direction, were staring down there, but then they gathered. It's very far away, and it's not a threat to them, nothing they need to be worried about. But it did spark quite a bit of activity. You can see now, as we said, they all came down to drink shortly after we heard that those lions calling. They've called twice now. But as I said, I don't think they are on Mbala. Just beautiful with the sun on the face. So you see these ones now, they're almost finishing up their drinking. They've only been here for about a minute already drinking, and now had enough, making their way back up. It's getting quite hot, so I think they might actually sit in the sun for a little bit longer and then move off into the shade. But while we watch them sort of move back and lie down, what we're going to do is send you across to, it sounds to be a very sassy baby elephant with, I believe, Tristan.
Well, you can see Ellies have just moved past us. Unfortunately, they were nicely visible, but they've moved a little bit. There's some more on our left-hand side that are moving around. It's the same herd as we had last night. There's quite a few individuals that I recognize from this grouping. They're just very, very, very spread out today. It's the elephant with the tusk that grows slightly under her trunk. Well, not under her trunk, but it's got like a funny shape to it. So she's moving off to the left there. There's quite a few Ellies in this general area. We've just been sitting tight. There's literally leopard tracks on every road. So we're hoping that if they're moving, there's going to be an alarm call. So sitting with Ellies seems like a good way to listen at the end of the day. They must still be in this area somewhere, unless she's marched him to the west. You guys are still very vocal, aren't you? Last night you were very loud. Seems like it's continued today for some reason. Don't know why they're so vocal. Maybe, like I said, it's just multiple herds that are in the same place together, so they're all just talking to each other non-stop. But there's been lots of grumbling and trumpeting and rumbling and, you know, general noise that comes from these guys. No, a lot of other animals make noise when they're mating. So most cats, obviously, will make a lot of noise. Lions, cheetah, leopard. Elephants, when they mate, is also the whole herd gets stressed, and you hear a lot of trumpeting and vocalizing like we heard last night. Rhinos is quite a loud affair. Buffalo is not as kind of prominent as the cats, but you can still hear it. You still hear grunts and bellows and those kinds of things. So pretty much all the animals have some sort of noise when they mate. Yeah, but the cats really is so distinctive. It's not the noise that they normally make, whereas elephants, it can be that trumpeting can be something like a dangerous animal close by. For us, our ears don't pick up the subtle differences. Obviously the elephants will, but we don't. But for cats, you can hear it straight away that they're mating, rather than when they're sawing or calling cubs or anything like that. Little one is having a nice scratch, while the one was having a scratch. This is one of the cheeky ones, this one that's by itself here. Came trumpeting at us just now. It's been talking quite a bit, and you can see lots of sass in that step. Yes, yes, yes. You can see that's a troublemaker, that one. It's naughty. Right, off they go, David. Lulu could be. You know, when you get different herds together, there's a lot of uneasiness. Well, there's, you know, it's unsettled, it's uneasy, there's new members, there's lots going on, lots of communicating taking place. So it could be the reason why they're a little bit kind of sassy towards us. It also depends on what's happened during the night, you know, were they accosted by bull elephants, did they bump into those leopards that made so much noise last night? You know, that's also part of it, but I think it's more to do with the fact that there's a number of different elephants here, and there's obviously some sort of interaction between them, and when we come along, we're kind of, you know, stimulating a response a little bit as another newcomer within the grouping. So when a herd is very settled and there's no others, you know, you come along and it's just kind of one little new entity that they need to just look at and decipher. But if lots of herds are coming together as well as you, there's all these different influences coming in and new things happening around them, and that makes it a little bit unsettled for our Ellies. They get a little bit riled up about it, and so it can be a bit different in their behavior when it's like that. But it's not the females. The females last night were upset because there was a hyena running around in between them, and that hyena caused them to think about their babies. There's a very, very small baby in one of these herds, and that little tiny baby hyenas will be a threat to it. And so you'll find that what happens is they these guys were trying to defend that, and then when we were there, it's just displaced aggression towards us. It's just another, you know, like I say, foreign body within the herd, and therefore, because they're so riled up, they're just showing that they are protecting their little one. But they were fine. They really weren't bad to us last night. Like they came once, 2 cows, but once we started the car, then they were fine. And after that, everybody was okay. They're still grumbling and rumbling, but they were fine in terms of their behavior. All right, well, we're gonna sit here with these guys, enjoy them, this beautiful sunshine. So while we sit and do that, it sounds like Sean is listening out for those other lines.
So indeed we are listening for that other pride. Now they have called once, but quite softly. It sounds like they actually might be moving further away from Ngala, heading further into the east, which makes sense. This is, you know, the Ngala section here belongs to these lines that we're looking at, so they would just be immediately trespassing. You can see we get a lot of activity. These lines started to get up, move into the shade. So far we've had 3 lionesses and one of the youngsters moving off back into the bushes there, trying to get some shade, and I'm sure the rest of them will be following along shortly. But right now it's just so beautiful with the sun. As they look at us, you know, the sun catches their eyes and it looks just incredible. We had a look at the cub was attacking her leg. So she might come down for a drink. Remember, her last drink got interrupted. It was, shortened. So it'll be interesting to see. I want to see if those cubs go down to drink, because if you think about it, we've never actually seen them drink water. All we see them do is suckle and then play with elephant dung. So it'll be really awesome if they come down and actually drink some water. Oh, it looks like one, the female, is slowly making her way down there. See how she comes? She's going to drop down. She's just in between all of these cubs at the moment. There she goes. Slowly making her way down. That's going to be crazy. I mean, I've been doing this now, over 3 years, and this will be my first time seeing a cub this side drink. Neither I can understand that. I also just want to squeeze them. They do look incredibly cute. We were talking about them now and how resilient these cubs actually are. How rough it can be. Because earlier the female, when those other Prrivate lions roared, obviously all of these lions reacted and sort of lifted their heads, rolled over, that sort of thing. And she rolled onto the young male's paw and he did a little squeal of pain. Oh, look, it's going to drink. Oh, that is adorable. And he did a little squeal of pain. And we were saying, like, these cubs, these youngsters can actually take a lot more sort of abuse than we give them credit for. I think they are quite resilient animals, actually. Oh, my brake's not working. They're quite resilient. See, look, it's like it wants to drink, but it's not sure if it actually does want to drink. Probably sitting there going, oh, mom's milk is a lot better. But that is incredible. I'm counting it as a cub drinking, Emma. Definitely counting it. Oh, that is beautiful. Sorry if you can hear my camera click. This is just, as I said, my first time seeing something like that. And to see it so beautifully. I would also be, oh, the mother looks like she might pick it up. Looks like she's just throwing it in the water. Oh, I thought she was going to just drop it into the water hole. That would have been hilarious. No, I don't know what she's doing with it there, really. She's like, enough with you. You do not know how to swim. Come away. So that's the female now that she's got in her mouth. So remember, we had that whole discussion the last time because she only picked up the male and she changed and what it was. So I think she just picks up whichever one's closest. And as you can see at this moment, it was the female that was closest, practically in her mouth already. He's just holding it there. The thing looks so bored. It's just sitting there. We were saying it must be quite uncomfortable and boring for the cub, They're moving to a new place. The other one gets to explore and run around, and the other one just hangs from the mouth. Shame. I'm trying to figure out where she's going. That's not I don't know where she's going to hide them there. There's a much easier way up the bank. No, she's calling. If you listen carefully. Oh, look at see how quickly those other youngsters just moved at the young cub. So the mother was calling for it, probably telling it, come catch up. And then all those other... Bella, I agree with you, it is just incredible. I don't know what that mother is doing. She's taking a very hard route. I don't know if the other cub's going to manage all of that. Oh, he looks a bit hesitant himself. But OD, just zoom out a bit there, please, and just have a look at the other youngsters. So you see those other three, the two white ones and that young one, just standing, staring at that one cub that's not being carried. Oh, see, look, there he goes. There's definitely an easier way to do it ever. So MLFC is telling me there looks like there's an easier way for her to move, and 100% there's an easier way. I'm not sure what her game plan is here, but it has provided us with a lot of humor, so we don't mind. Oh, okay. So you can see they're going to move into the distance. She's most likely going to take them to a bush, stash them there. But it sounds like Jared and his lions are on the hunt.
All right, everyone, we've got one of the lioness just got up now and started to stalk some warthogs. It looks like she's about 10 meters away from the warthog at the moment. I'm not sure whether you can see the lioness or the warthog, Marcel. But I can see the warthog. I can't see the lioness now. She's lying flat in the ground, but the warthog is facing in her direction. She might wait for the warthog to turn side on or maybe away from her before she decides to run in. Oh, it looks like one of the cubs are also starting to join. So they're busy watching off from the distance at the moment. We've got all 5 of them now slowly heading into the area of that warthog. Now this could be to the advantage, actually. Although these cubs probably won't take down the warthog, they might accidentally chase the warthog straight towards the lioness. Oh, this is getting quite intense. You'll see that we've got one cub who's quite nervous, sticking a little bit further back, and then there's one cub all the way in the front. Oh, I can see the lioness now. I think she's actually watching a different warthog than the one I can see that's right next to her. Marcel, can you see the lioness?
Yeah, got it.
So we've got the lioness. She's just poking her head above the grass. You'll see how she's pinned her ears straight down to try and not give away too much of her body shape away. Oh, I think the warthogs may just have spotted her. I see they're busy trotting off. Judging by the way that they're running, I'm not entirely convinced that they have seen her. I think they may have smelt her. See how she's changing direction? So Davey, you're most certainly correct. There is 3 warthogs there. A large male warthog would be a bit of a risk to a single lioness with those big tusks. It could cause quite a bit of harm towards her and potentially even fatal. But there is some younger warthogs there as well. So see, she's busy trotting around again. Like I said, the way the warthogs are running, they haven't just completely bolted off. They're sort of trotting away. I think they may have heard the lioness in the grass, or they may have smelt her. She hasn't done too well today using the wind to her advantage. She should actually be more left of where she is and comes up from behind the warthogs. So I think they may have smelt her and not seen her, but she hasn't given up yet. I've lost view of the warthogs, but I can see another warthog. There's a warthog running right behind her. She hasn't seen that warthog. So Pablo, generally you're looking at about 2.5 years where lions can successfully make a kill on their own. That being said, in a national park in South Africa known as Addo National Park, there were lion cubs that were about this age that were orphaned. Their mother died, and there were no other lions to look after them, and somehow those lions were able to survive by hunting probably small birds, scrub airs, even rodents if necessary. That's incredible. She just had a warthog run right behind her and she didn't even notice. So that warthog ran downwind between her and the cubs and maybe ran about 20 meters, 30 meters past her. She's so focused on the other warthog that she's busy hunting at the moment that she didn't see that larger male. Alright, we're going to slowly drive towards them. We are going to keep a bit of a distance. I don't want to interfere in this hunt at all. I don't want to distract her from whatever she's hunting, and I don't want whatever she's hunting to look up at us and see the vehicle and then see her because they're looking at us. So we are going to watch from a distance. Alright, so while we see what happens here, we're going to head over to Dylan who's with some meerkats also looking for something to feed on.
So these guys are doing proper burrow maintenance this morning. There's a meerkat off too, and we'll frame on it just now. We'll move across to the right of where Gendro is sitting, the babysitter. And then the others have moved out to a couple of these little burrows that they actually haven't used. Certainly not in the week that we've been watching them. What's very interesting, I just did a quick calculation. There's a rough count. There's about, in the system here, there's about 35 burrow entrances that they can actually get underground and use in this. And the total area here, you know, we did an area calculation on the outside here, is about 236 square meters. To give you some idea of the size of the extent of this burrow system. So about 35 entrances and approximately 236 square meters. These ones closest to you now that Gendro's got, these are all the youngsters. Or when I say youngsters, they're not the newborns. They're still underground. They're going to be underground now probably another week, but maybe coming out from the burrows even sooner. I mentioned yesterday, for those of you who joined us, that sometimes this female is actually known for taking these youngsters above ground a lot earlier than the other meerkat groups. We don't know what would be the reason for that, but let's see what happens with this lot. She seems to have gone down underground into one of the other burrow systems over there. They're really being challenging this morning. MGM, I would have to find out exactly how much meerkat pups weigh, but I would imagine it's a couple of grams. I mean, they must be, I mean, and they're tiny. They're probably, you know, when they're born, maybe half the length of your thumb. But I'd have to check up on that. I've personally never seen a newborn meerkat pup underground. We actually had a look last night where we saw a really nice video clip from the, I think it was, which film crew did, maybe the BBC, that did a thing on another group of meerkats quite a while back, not on Tswalu, on a different property. They actually managed to get footage of them underground with pups, and they are tiny, tiny, tiny when they're newborn. And they are completely helpless. So, like humans, you know, they need to grow up, and they need to learn. Their eyesight needs to develop. They need to develop muscle strength, bone structure. You know, so there's a lot of development there before they actually become functional parts of these groups. Because my angle's wrong here, but I think the matriarch, the alpha female, is this one. Yeah, this is one closest to me. So this one walking across to the right, this is, now we've called her Mosadi. Not we, you, our guests, have called her Mosadi. So she's the alpha female, the one that's going furthest out on the right hand side. She's the leader of the group. And I know it sounds completely crazy, yeah, but you're standing there, how can you just not say, well, that's it. We were actually battling this morning just because of this cold. They've been sitting hunched over a lot, you know, hunched over, hands in front of their chest. So it's actually not that easy to see the nipples and that, and where she's actually been suckling the youngsters. So I'm just going to move a little bit further back over here. You'll notice, well, we've noticed this morning that they're actually a little bit more nervous than they've been the past couple of days. They're completely relaxed with our presence, but what we think is happening, it's been more windy today. It's kind of been gusting on and off the whole morning. And with the noise of the wind, and there's a lot of movement in any of the little shrubs, grass, you can actually see the vegetation that they're now foraging in amongst is moving constantly. The problem with that for a meerkat is that kind of like masks, or can mask, the approach of any predator, you know, in terms of scent, in terms of hiding the movements of a predator. So normally in windy conditions like this, they'll be like super, super, super alert. So they're actually moving out again. And Gendro and I, we both were wrong, and we take these little bets every morning as to which burrow they're going to come out of and which direction they're going to go foraging. And again, we were completely off this morning. So I think, you know, those of you who have joined us this morning, oh, okay. It sounds like Sean has got some lions thinking of breakfast on their side. So I think while we're trying to keep tabs on these ones, head over there, that side.
It's also to see the meerkats. See them heading off for their breakfast. I think our lions are actually heading off to bed. You can see a number of them have disappeared now. It's just this one grooming himself, and then that one further back behind him, and all the rest have moved off into the shade. That young female with the cubs, she walked actually very far away to the other side of the waterhole from where we started this morning, and she went down the bank all the way to the other side. Yeah, exactly where Odie is, the right hand side of the tree, but she went all the way across there, other side of that waterhole, that bank, sorry, and I believe she is stashing the cubs in there. So there's a little drainage line, a riverbed that runs down there, and I think she's probably just going to lie down there with her cubs, keep them away nice and safe. But it has been a truly wonderful morning. We have seen some very, very awesome stuff. Nice cub interaction and carrying and playing and drinking and sticks and elephant dung. And you can see they're all moving into the shade. The Ross males off on the right hand side here, they're just watching from their little bit of shade that they have. Both of them got their heads up now. There you can see them both. And they also just relaxing. I think these lions are going to spend the rest of the afternoon here and just follow the shade as it moves around all of the bushes. So I think what we're going to do is probably just leave them, let them have their morning, because I'm very interested to come back later this afternoon, you know, into the evening, to see if that young Birmingham male is around here somewhere. We think he is. He's probably hiding in a bush. He's probably lying in a bush somewhere, just staying away from these two males. But as it's getting hotter now, he's going to become more lazy. So we'll come back this afternoon and see if he's out and about. But as we leave them, we're going to head towards where we heard those other lions roaring, see if we can find any tracks, any signs of them. In the meantime, we'll send you back across to andBeyond Phinda with Jared and his lions.
So we're not too sure exactly what happened with the female that went off after the warthogs, but we have decided to just wait, because if I go chasing aimlessly after her through this grass, I may either ruin her hunt and give the position of the lioness away to the warthogs, or just chase the warthogs away and make it difficult for her to hunt. So we've decided to just stick with the cubs, and by doing this, it gives me an opportunity to just listen. And if she does manage to catch a warthog, there is going to be quite a lot of squealing that's going to take place. And then we will dart off straight in the direction of wherever she is, just like I'm sure these cubs are going to do. So we're doing the exact same tactic as what these cubs are doing. They're waiting now for her to either come back, because she's been unsuccessful, or waiting for the sound of that warthog as mom catches it. And then they'll go hurling over to see how they can help. So we can only see two of the cubs for now. There's a third, fourth one. I can see four now. The one that's busy walking, the young male that's busy walking at the moment, is walking to two other cubs. Three other cubs. So we've got four over there. The grass is a little bit long here, so it is quite tough to see. Raiden, the cubs are very used to the smell of the vehicle, the smell of us being in the vehicle. I don't think that they necessarily use the vehicle and the smell of us to mask the scent of them. Ever since these cubs were about 2 months old, we've been viewing them. So for the last 8 months or so, we've been watching these lions maybe every day, every second day. So they've become so used to our smell, and now we pretty much just part of their life. It seems like the 5th cubs just got up and walked off to go find some shade, and all 5 of them are now waiting patiently. You'll see that they don't really know exactly where the mother's walked off to. That cub that has just walked off is now looking the total opposite direction where we saw her running after those warthogs. And now they're just going to wait patiently. So earlier on I did a contact call for you. So if she doesn't make a kill, she's going to come back to the area where she left these cubs, and she will use that contact call to call them. Once again, I will illustrate what it will sound like. She'll go, obviously it wasn't 100% spot on, otherwise they would have even looked up at my contact call. But I think that was pretty close. Yeah, Marcel says that this youngster did prick up its ears. Now obviously I wasn't doing the contact call to get their attention. We would never do that.
Probably thinking, what's this guy?
But that's the exact sound that the mother's going to make as she comes back. Let's see, I'm just going to try reposition again. See if we can't get a different angle and a better view of these youngsters. So, while we were off air, I'll be honest with you, we were busy following the youngsters and I got stuck. So both Marcel and myself had to do some quick 4x4 skills to try get this vehicle out. I started going into a little bit of a panic, thinking, what if the Lioness catches a Warthog and I'm stuck in the hole that my front right tire fell into? But it was only about 5 minutes or so and we managed to get back out, luckily. Otherwise, that would have been quite embarrassing. Here at Phinda, we have a rule that if you get stuck and someone has to pull you out or push you out of whatever you got stuck in, you have to wear a pink hat. And pink is not a very beautiful color that I have, or that suits me. So I'm quite happy that I didn't have to put on the pink hat today. If you get stuck and you're able to get yourself out, then you fortunately don't have to wear the pink hat.
I think your wife would think pink looks pretty on you.
All right, well, while we wait to see if the Lioness comes back or whether she is able to be successful in her hunt, we're going to head back to Dylan at Tswalu.
So our meerkats moved off completely. They're long out of sight now. But we thought we'd just remind the viewers that our team is Jandre on camera, then myself, Dylan, every now and again you hear a bit from me, and then old Mel Gibson, yeah, it's like Melanie Mark II. But you see she has some visitors. She's making friends, or he's making friends. You know, these armored ground crickets are really featuring in our drives here. It's just look how that one's using his foot to push the other one away. We actually spoke about that the other day, and I don't know if we've seen it that well, but it's very, very distinct. Those long hind legs, they actually use them to push any competitors away. And look. Yes, this is brilliant. Yeah, you see? Yeah, like boxing, look at that. Yes, they're getting up close and personal with old Mel Gibson there. We'll call him Mel or Gibson or Mel Gibson, depending. So Jandre and I, we're going to continue. We're going to leave the But we just wanted to do this to show that we are doing our absolute best to look after Melanie Mark II or Mel Gibson. Indigo girl, they are a bit like kung fu cricket, so. But Look at those antennae. Yes, I would love to know. The bottom one is grooming himself, cleaning his feet. But I would love to know how they perceive the world, through their sight, because their sight is not bad, I guess, for an insect. They're quick to pick up if you're moving around them. They detect you very quickly. But in terms of those antennae, they are fantastic sensory organs. So a lot of these armored ground crickets are sunning themselves, and you can see these ones, they're actually just sitting on an exposed position, warming up. So we're going to start just packing up our kit and moving back to the vehicle. So I think in the meantime, head over to Tristan and see what updates he's got on spotted cats for you.
Well, it's an infuriating leopard update. These impalas here were going crazy just now, and you can see how nervy they are. They all got their heads up. They're all looking quite tightly clustered. Came here, there's tracks for both the male and the female, but no sign of them. I suspect what's happening is he's hearing us and just running into a thicket, and she's following. And that's why we're not getting them on the roads or anything like that. But these guys, I think, saw them just now. They were, like I say, alarm calling like crazy, and you can see their general demeanor right now is not a relaxed demeanor at all. They're quite twitchy, they're quite nervous. They don't look like they are happy at all at this stage of what is going on. But like I say, I mean, it's also quite tricky to work out whether these tracks are from now or if there's sort of what's actually going on, because she and he have walked around literally every road that we've driven this morning has got a track for the two of them. And sometimes it looks like they're apart, sometimes they look like they're together. There's tracks going in different directions all the time. Oh, Steve, I'm just with this impala I heard that was alarming just now. And so it's hard to work out exactly when they met up and how long they've been traveling together, and did they loop around each other for a while, or have they just been all over the show, given that they're in this kind of throw of mating. It would have been nice if we could, like I say, get some audio, but what we're going to do is I just wanted to sit here and see if these guys were still shouting or if they're still very nervous, and they are still nervous, which means that it must have passed through fairly kind of recently. Impalas don't generally display nervousness for long periods of time, and like I say, when you see them clustered like this, very close together at this time of the morning, you know that there's something that's not right. The only thing that I have a worry about with this particular herd is that obviously there is a scent for two leopards coming past, and then there's also going to be the scent of Tundi and the smell of death in this particular area, because very close to where Tundi had her kill. In fact, it's at Tundi's kill, and so that could also be triggering them to be a little bit nervous. Is more the smell rather than the visual aspect, but the way that they were shouting was of impalas that saw these animals, and so somewhere around here could be those leopards. Like I said, they just don't want us to be seen. Well, Mulawati doesn't want to be seen, and that's what's making life quite tricky. I know you say rutting season is hard work. It is in a way, because the rut often misleads you a little bit, and you get into a situation where you're not sure if they're alarming or they're chasing one another, but their demeanor is one of spooked impalas. You can see they quite alert, everyone's looking in different directions, and like I say, nice and tightly bunched together. Even the wildebeest is with them at this stage, and no one's really sure what's going on, and they're trying their very best to kind of watch and to look and to see, but yeah, I don't know. I think these cats have passed already and are not exactly sitting still. I think they're hearing our cars and just trying to get away as quick as possible. Anyway, that's the way it goes. I see Steve is coming up behind me here. Alright, so while we try and find these leopards and see where they've gone and what's happening, I think it's going to be a tough call this morning. But while we do, let's send you back across to Jared.
So as you can see, we've managed to find the adult lioness that went charging after those impala. After those, I've been listening to Tristan talk about impala. After those warthogs, and it seems that she's unsuccessful. But what I find quite funny is that she hasn't gone back to her cubs. She's probably around 80 meters from them at the moment, and maybe just enjoying this moment of break away from the 5 young males. They haven't seen her yet. We managed to just get a glimpse of her as she was walking along the road that we're on at the moment. And so we snuck away from the 5 cubs to see what she's up to. And as we got to her, she decided to just lie down in the shade here. Now, she might be doing this for a couple of reasons. One is that she knows that there could be some more warthogs moving through this area. And so being with the cubs is just another possibility that they might ruin the hunt. So rather just lie off a couple of 100 meters. But I think she's taken this opportunity to also have a break just to gain her energy back. She would have exerted quite a lot of energy trotting after those warthogs. And when we lost her, for all we know, she might have completely charged towards them. You can kind of see that she's breathing a little bit heavy, but not panting too hard. So I do think that if something had to come walk on by now, she would have enough energy to easily be able to start a hunt again. She's glancing in the direction where those warthogs have gone to, but I highly doubt that they're going to, or at least that group of warthogs is going to come back into this area. They would have seen her, smelt her, and heard her. She's busy having a little bit of a nap now with her head up, which allows her to listen better and smell better. If she's busy lying down, she Sorry, Emma, can you repeat that question? Wild K, yes. So the Wild K, yes. So the lions that are busy hunting, if they are the weaker members of the pride, they generally won't join up in the hunt, and they'll watch off from the distance. And what you will find is that the pride will completely dominate that carcass, and they might only be able to feed on any of the scraps. Unfortunately, unlike wild dogs, who will look after the weak and often favor the weak when it comes to feeding, lions are the opposite of that. Once it comes time to feeding, it is everyone for themselves, and only the strong will feed, and thus the strong will survive. So like I was saying, with her having a nap, with her head up like this, it's just allowing her to listen and smell better. Because even while she is taking a rest, she is able to use her other senses. And if her head is down flat, that means that she might not be able to smell as well and hear as well. And even though she is taking a nap, if a impala does walk upwind from her, or a warthog walks upwind from her, she will be able to smell it and immediately wake up and begin her hunt again. She does keep looking in that direction. I wonder if she does smell or hear something there, or maybe she's just hoping that the warthogs come back. She hasn't planted herself in a very good position to hunt. If she was to move maybe 10-20 meters to her left, our right, she'll be able to lie in the long grass where she'll be able to hide. Adele, yes, you are correct. She is taking a bit of a power nap. This power nap just allowing her to get whatever energy was exerted chasing after those warthogs back, and so she'll be ready to hunt again later. Like I mentioned yesterday, this pride of lions is a bit of a specialist in hunting warthogs, and that would mean that they would hunt warthogs during the day. A lot of people talk about lions being nocturnal, and they just think that lions always only make kills at night time or around sunset, but in fact they will often make kills during the day and even during the heat of the day. And for a pride of lions that specializes in warthogs, they would have to spend most of their time hunting during the daytime, because warthogs at night will go into their burrows. There are some prides that have learned to dig warthogs out of burrows, but that's typically more with the males. That is a bit of a risk, because a warthog, when it goes into the burrow, would reverse into the burrow, and then for a predator that comes down the burrow or digs towards them, would be exposed to the tusks as that warthog was to eject himself out of the burrow out of defense. But as far as I know, this part of lions hasn't really used that technique to hunt warthogs. They just use the usual technique of hunting in groups and using grass and other cover and wind to their advantage. So this is a fairly young lioness. She's around 6 years old now, and if you look at her condition, you can see that she is young. Once they start to get closer towards about 10 years old, you'll notice that the skin on their face starts to sag a little bit. Their ears tend to become a little bit more worn down. They tend to have quite a lot of scarring on their face. But she's in really, really good condition. I'm just going to use my binoculars to see how many scars she has. But I don't suspect she has too many. In fact, I can hardly see any scars. You'll also notice that her nose is pinkish. If we had to see those cubs right now, you'll see that they do have much lighter noses, so pinker noses. And as they get older, that nose tends to become a little bit more darker. And you also notice, if you have a look at her back leg, it is still quite spotty and blotchy. Oh, something just caught her attention. Let's just have a look what it is. It might be one of the youngsters walking towards her. That is the direction where the youngsters were. So she's definitely heard something. You can see by the way she reacted. She's not 100% sure exactly what it is. Sometimes it could just be a bird fluttering off and breaking a branch, because she's so aware or so heightened at the moment that there could be some prey around. Any noise is going to grab her attention. There is a little bit of a wind blowing, and so that wind will also make her a little bit more edgy. So Indigo Girl, yeah, she is a little bit pale. I don't think unusually pale. Ooh, I wonder what she's after. So that is the direction where the cubs are. Oh, what do I see? So I can see one of her cubs, and they've walked towards her left. So I think that she might have heard them breaking a branch or on the grass blades, but I'm not 100% sure. They must have got up and decided to have a look at something. Maybe there was another warthog or impala that came by, and although they're probably not capable of hunting at this age, they will still try their luck. They are curious animals. But while we try and investigate to see exactly what caught her attention or caught the cubs' attention, we're going to head over to Sean, who has left the lions and gone in search for something different.
Sounded like there was an intense few moments there at andBeyond Phinda. The lioness just jumping up and walking off into the bushes. It's always exciting when that happens. You know, oh, what's happening? So that was very cool. Well done there, Jared. Nice to see the cubs at the end, though. Very special. We are heading towards, as I said, where we heard those lions roar a little bit earlier. So still further, you can see there's a tree line off in front of us over there. Other side of that tree line, big clearings. We call them Buffalo Flats. It's very close to our eastern boundary. It pretty much is our eastern boundary. That's where we believe these lions were calling from. So we're just going to go investigate. I think they were a little bit further east, but just see if we can find any tracks, get an idea of what pride it is, how many there were, things like that. And also a great area for wildebeest and zebras, impalas, possibly even some hyenas. Sheena, it has been an adventure today. It has been quite an exciting morning. Meerkats, the leopard search happening at Juma. Very difficult leopard searches. Lions here, lions at andBeyond Phinda. Oh, that's exciting. So while we drive and we're going to look for tracks and such, it sounds like Steve at Juma has found a huge herd of elephants.
We have indeed. Thanks, Sean. Well, we've been tracking this morning, this mating pair of leopards, and I've been pretty certain we've been quite close to them, but identified on the road. Yeah, well, these elephants have now attracted our attention as well, because they've been going crazy. There's a few bulls causing trouble. That's causing the females to scream like what you just heard. But the noises we heard as well are often an indication of a predator being nearby. Breeding herds of elephant do not respond well to leopards or lions, and they will chase them and make those noises because of the threats and risks to their babies. So I'm trying to just figure out where or what. Tristan and I are working together to try and find these leopards, but they're just not making any noise. Impala's alarm calling, but elephants are giving each other a hard time right now. See at the back of those little bulls. Okay, they've stopped now. There's some bulls behaving badly, but the way their behavior is indicating, I'm not sure where Tristan had the tracks of the leopards earlier, but it's very likely that they've got some residual smell from where the leopards were, and that would also cause them to behave a bit like this. Elephants can smell something that was there hours before. It's quite incredible. Like a bloodhound. Right now they're just quenching their thirst. I'm just going to keep quiet for a moment, allow you to just soak in these sounds. Once again, everybody, if you have the time, the inclination, I'd like to support our efforts out here, bringing you wonderful wild images from the wilderness. Please go to the link below, help to support us. I really do appreciate that. I'll give you some more time with these ellies. Tristan and I are almost certain that between where he did his last segment with those impala that were making a lot of noise when I found them earlier. Alarm calls are genuine. Alarm calls give you an indication of the presence of a predator pretty soon after. But we've been working very hard, and if it is indeed Shadulu, but with Mawati. Mawati is not a relaxed male leopard. The best way to get him relaxed is to find him with her, because she's super chilled, as you saw yesterday. And if you've seen her before, she's a very relaxed leopard. But they're all responding. I'm going to go look on the other side of the dam there where the elephants have run away from. See what it is. So Tingana, who's the Duke of Juma, when he arrived on Juma, was not a relaxed leopard. The name Tingana means the shy one. Nowadays he's bulletproof. He's so relaxed with vehicles, but how he was relaxed or habituated was due to the fact that he was hanging out with relaxed females. And you can can spend time with relaxed females because they don't run away, and his fear of man and fear of the cars, which is a natural inclination to an unhabituated leopard, his natural fear was completely overwhelmed by his need to breed, mate, and hang out with the female. I believe it might have been Karula, or it was Tundi at the time. I'm not sure. I wasn't around. But after that, after a mating session or two, that leopard becomes relaxed because they realize there's no negative reinforcement. And you see these elephants running. So they came in, snatched a drink, and they've run away with their tails in the air. Okay, very good. Well, Tristan's around the corner trying to give me a hand. I wonder if he's fixed up any more tracks. Let's quickly send you over to him.
Nothing else, Steve. Just squirrel's alarm calling, impala's alarm calling, but nothing. Now, generally, impalas don't shout like they've been shouting, as I was talking about just now. And just after we finished, they started shouting again. They walked past us towards Tumbeta Waterhole. They got to the waterhole, and then they were going crazy there. So I don't know where these guys are. Maybe they're inside Tumbeta. That's why we're just not finding them. I don't know. I doubt it, obviously, because everything's closed up there, but you never know. Maybe they've walked in that direction. But interestingly enough, they seem to be... I don't know if it's the scent and the wind that's blowing around that's causing everybody to be so panicky, or just because these leopards were just so busy last night that they've kind of attracted so much attention to themselves that everywhere these animals go now, they're just a little bit kind of nervy of what's going on. But the last tracks we have is just cutting straight across here, so I mean it's such an open area. You would expect to see these guys super easily, so I have no idea where to even go from here now. Maybe let's just check the western side of quarantine in case they ran back this way. I'm pretty sure he's the one running. She's just trotting after him at this. But what we want to do is try and see if we can catch her. Neva, you're asking, you don't understand why Mulawati's so nervous. What would make him be, or what had made him be like that? It's not, that's how leopards are. We just have very different leopards here because of the fact that we find them from early ages, and basically get them to the point where they realize we're not trying to do anything from them. But a leopard by nature is a shy creature. It doesn't like to be seen. It doesn't want to be seen. It generally relies on stealth and its ability to hide in order to survive. And that comes from a safety point of view, from a food point of view, and so you generally don't see leopards just milling out in the open. Here is different because they've gotten used to the vehicles, and generations of leopards have realized that we're not going to chase them around. And so I suspect that it's that, coupled with the fact that he's probably come out of Kruger area. And the Kruger, people don't off-road, they don't track. And that means that he's never had that exposure, and so when he hears cars coming, he's just trying to hide. He's just trying to make sure that he gets away and that nobody notices him and that he's here. So I think that's pretty much what's happening. I don't think it's it's a natural thing. It's just you've got to unfortunately try and kind of catch up with them and start to get them to the point where they realize you're not trying to do anything to them. Alright, I'm going to keep scratching here, just seeing there's so many hyena and leopard tracks everywhere, and try and figure out what's going on and whether we can find them. In the meantime though, it sounds like Taylor is out and about, wants to say good morning.
They are normally nervous, Tristan, but we've been working on habituating this pair of warthogs. It's actually some warthogs that we saw yesterday, which is pretty cool. But just like the leopards, they also become quite relaxed when you spend enough time with them. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Gert, and we are driving around in this beautiful ecosystem known as Prrivelands. But this pretty much is exactly the same too. If you did join us on the sunrise safari, they were covered in oxpeckers yesterday, which is a type of bird that a lot of you have seen bounding about on the animals, or clinging rather to the animals, and scissoring through the hair, trying to eat parasites. None today, though. They are calling on a group of impala nearby, but we'll have a look at them just next. And then something that I don't think I spoke to you about is that female warthog that's just turned her bottom towards us, the sow. I don't know if you noticed that she was missing her left ear. Okay, well, now we can only see her good ear. But it was interesting, and that's how I identified that it was the same warthog from yesterday. The coincidence of finding two warthogs in the same area with a missing ear would be a bit too high. There we go. So it's there, it's present, it's just slightly stumped. And I don't know if it's a deformity. I'm trying to have a look on my monitor, but it's difficult. Or if it's actually been damaged. Now, we see injured animals fairly regularly in the sense that they've had some kind of an old injury. Maybe they're missing a tail, which is quite common. We see that with elephants and zebra and that. So hyenas, maybe they had a go at this warthog at some point and it survived. And now it is just over here. So she's quite cute. So that this says to me that there is a den very close by. It would be nice to be able to find out where they are, or which burrow they're living, and see if we can't catch them coming out in the morning. But as all the animals do, just feasting on some not so tasty grass right now. That's very dry and terrible. You can maybe hear a helicopter come over, not helicopter, aeroplane come over. Now, Anushka, so with warthogs and piglets, unfortunately we've missed all the little piglets. They're actually fairly well grown now, almost the size of the adults, but we have to wait till the end of the year. The rearing typically is done by the females, the sow. So she's the one that is looking after them, and she's, oh my goodness, that's an animal you don't want to challenge. Is a sow with youngsters at her side. They will charge. I'm sure there's many guides that can tell you many stories about how they were chased around, getting too close to the female and her little ones. And like I was saying, they become very easily habituated, because normally in the drier months, the warthogs will come around various camps. So if there are any lodges that are watering their gardens, they're like, oh, okay, well, we're rather going to eat the nice green stuff. And then that's when you can get quite close to these little piglets. So she'll defend them. There's been many sightings of warthogs chasing cheetah and chasing leopards that have been chasing after the piglets. So I'm sure you can find lots of sightings like that. And I suppose if you're that brazen, with those big sharp white tusks that you can see protruding out the side of her face, especially those bottom ones are like steak knives. If that just touches a lion, a leopard, or a cheetah, they'll normally be left with a big gash. So, you know, they are armed. And they've got such thick skin too. But those piglets are very much at risk also to birds of prey and snakes. Now, Pridelands is not in the Sabi Sands, Dylan. So we're actually just outside Hoedspruit, literally right on the corner. But eventually, these ecosystems, they're all linked to one another because it's part of the Greater Kruger National Park. So essentially, you could get to the Sabi Sand if you just walked in the easterly direction and then turned slightly south. So you would have to go probably through Ngala Game Reserve, funny enough, and then maybe cut down into the Manuletti, which then goes into the northern section of the Sabi Sands. So there is definitely a way. You have to pass through a couple of other smaller private wilderness areas to get there, but there are no fences. So essentially, elephants and any animals, zebra, wildebeest that do move around quite a lot, they don't typically have territories and stay in one place and just go where the grass is greener or the leaves are tastier. You might see the same animals, which is quite exciting, funny enough. Could even see some of those leopards that Tristan was talking about dispersing, especially those young males and aren't quite sure where to go. They could come all the way down the side. So we'll be definitely keeping an eye out for them. But the warthogs, however, I don't think they'll make it to the Sabi Sand. They're going to stay here, eat all the grass, keep swatting their tails to get rid of those pesky bugs that are biting them. Wonderful. Well, we'll pop past and see if we can see these guys on a regular basis. It would be nice. I am going to head on off to the dam to check for elephants, but it seems as though Sean has already got some.
we have indeed found this lone male, and he's actually been digging since we've been here for the last sort of couple minutes. He's been digging in the river here for water, and you'll watch now. Got his trunk in there, so he's just now reaching the water. He was just throwing sand around up until about not even a minute ago, and then he finally hit some water. So you'll see him now. He sticks his trunk in the hole, sucks up a little bit of water. There's quite a lot of sand in there still, so he's been squirting a lot of the water out. So just watch now. Oh, no, there we go. You see, he's finally got it clean enough for his taste to be able to drink. Elephants very, very, very picky with what they drink. And you can see how this one, digging in the river, there's a lot of reeds here, and this water that he's getting has been filtered through the sand. So it's actually very, very clean. It's a lot cleaner than the water hole where the lions were. Now this elephant would actually prefer to drink this water than drink water from the water hole. The water hole is stagnant, there's hippos in it, buffaloes go and lie in it, the elephants go and play in it, so it's quite dirty. And it's so also to see the intelligence of these animals, especially the elephant like this, to know where to dig and to know that, if I dig in the river here, I will get water. And I'm sure now he should, after he's been drinking, I'm hoping he's going to splash himself, because it is starting to get very, very hot. I think he might splash some water on himself. So we know it's a male elephant because it's by itself. Females would always be in a herd, like that big herd that Steve had. It would be mainly females, or the big ones at least. And then we got this guy here by himself, an old bull. We estimate him to be anywhere between 30 and 40 years old. Oh, that's lovely. I don't know if you all heard that, but that was an elephant fart, what you just heard. But you see, now a lot of people, a lot of guests that we get here that come, majority of them are scared of elephants. Understandably, these are very big animals. If you don't know anything about elephants in terms of their behavior, their body language, things like that, they can be quite intimidating. And it can be quite intimidating. For us, because we understand the elephants, well, we can sort of read their behavior. You can see this one's very, very calm. He hasn't looked at us. He's been very content just to drink his water. It's also so hot, for him to actually... Okay, so we got an interesting question from, I think the name was X Detok, maybe? Detox? Anyway, X, I'm going to call you X. X. So X wants to know how they filter out the sand from the water when they drink from the river like this. X, at the beginning I was saying that, when the elephant was digging the hole, so they start using their feet, and then as they get further and further down, the hole narrows, and then they use their trunk. And they actually spend a lot of time scooping out the water and spraying it out. They don't actually drink the first, sort of 10 mouthfuls. They actually just squirt out. And that gets rid of a lot of that floating sand. And so, they try to make it as sort of clean as possible. They obviously still get sand, but watch carefully now. So now he sucks it up. So most likely, all of the loose sand particles that have been stirred around there on here, they're floating in the water. So as he sucks it up, a lot of them will go in right at the beginning. So let's say like the top of his trunk. So now he squirts it in his mouth, but then watch, when he drops his trunk, a fair amount of water actually still falls out of the trunk. So just watch carefully now when he's done. Of course now he doesn't do it. But you can see there's some water leaking out of his mouth, there's some water going out of the trunk there as he dropped it. And I believe that part of the water is the sandy part. Because that's the part that he sucks up first with all the sand in it, and then he hopefully gets a bit of clearer water. But as we were saying now, elephants are picky. X. So this water, even with sand in it, is much better than the water from the water hole. I think for this elephant X, he'll deal with a few grains of sand in his water rather than drinking. Oh, from here. something, rather than drinking that dirty, stagnant, hippo poop, buffalo infested water from the waterhole. Megan, I agree. OD is doing a fantastic job on the camera work there. Yeah, nice close-ups of the face and the trunk and the tusks and the eyes. No, OD's on it. OD's on it. And it's also really nice with the light. You know, you zoom out a bit, there's a lot of just black. So OD's got this. It's just so peaceful. I'm going to keep quiet for a couple seconds because that's all I can manage. And just see how peaceful and beautiful it is here. I mean, there's not a lot of noise happening, and it is beautiful just how sort of quiet it is. Few birds calling, but not much noise. The elephant's just having a great time. He's got his water. He hasn't sprayed himself yet, which has surprised me. You can see he's drunken a lot, though. You know, each sort of trunk full of water holds about 10 liters. And I mean, since we've been here, he must have drunk from his trunk at least 10 times. So that's over 100 liters that this elephant is currently drinking. You mean such a big animal, he probably weighs 3 tons. Okay, maybe more than that. Let's say 5. 5 tons. He's big. He's big. So it's a lot of water, but for such an animal, you know, in comparison, it's not that much. And it is very, very hot, as I said. He's grey. He gets even hotter than the rest of us, and he must travel and walk and eat, and so he drinks a lot. I was hoping he was going to splash himself, and he might still. But then I also wonder, you know, they go to a water hole, they go to the swimming pool at the tented camp. And there, the water that they're getting, you know, it's easy to drink. You know, we're here to, you know, the amount of water in that hole, probably not a lot. And he seems, I'll be surprised if he's actually, go back to what I said, but I'll be surprised if he's getting a whole 10 liters now. I know in their trunk they can fit 10 liters. Okay, so you can see this guy, he's just going to keep drinking and keep drinking. We're going to sit here for a while and just see. I want to see if he splashes himself or if he just drinks and then leaves. But while we spend some quality time with him, we're going to send you over to Dylan, who seems to be doing some on-foot stuff.
So we haven't had a huge amount of joy this morning. The meerkats are always amazing, but what I noticed when we were up there, and I've noticed over the past couple of days, is there's been quite a bit of brown hyena activity in terms of tracks around that meerkat area. And so what we're doing now, because these tracks have been going backwards and forwards to that same area, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that perhaps there's a chance that there's a den somewhere, not necessarily with pups, but it'll be an area that they'll be using frequently for sheltering during the day. And if we can locate something like that, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Obviously, no promises, but I think the starting point is actually try get a grip on tracks, because there is a dam, a waterhole, about 1.5 kilometers behind us here, and the fact that these tracks are crossing through from the west to the water and then heading back constantly, and you're going over a period of just the week that we spent at the Meerkats there, I would be very, very surprised if it's just purely saying, oh, it's just it's a carcass, a dead animal somewhere, and they're feeding on that. That doesn't make sense to me. You know, within a week, they would normally have cleaned up pretty much whatever there is, and there'd just be some bones lying around still. So I'm gonna, like I say, gonna go out on a limb and say maybe there's a chance for a burrow system, a den site. But that's gonna take. We'll work on that over the next couple of weeks. Jamie, yay, brown hyenas. Brown hyenas, give them to me anytime, day or night, any day of the week. I'm there like a bear. But this is going to be something that we're going to have to work on. It's not going to be there's no quick fix on locating these animals. In the Kalahari, brown hyenas do occur at very low densities, and their clan sizes can be a lot smaller than spotted hyenas. I mean, spotted hyenas can go in big packs, big clans. Brown hyenas are typically going to, a dominant male and a female, and then you can get a couple of helpers from a previous season. So these groups are very, very small, and they don't necessarily forage together like spotted hyenas do, so they can cover vast areas, small families moving individually, and coming together at a carcass. So it's going to take a lot of PT, but it'll be something really fun to work on over the coming weeks and coming months to see if we can actually, if there is in fact a den site, if we can locate it. That's going to be something super, super, super exciting to keep track of. While we're saying keeping track of things, just something very interesting. The puff adders that we've been seeing, just to throw some interesting stats out there. I've been keeping a GPS coordinates on these puff adders and where they're moving, and the last puff adder that we followed moved in one day. It moved over 600 meters. So you could equate that in terms of species, if for viewers in the United or guests in the United States, something like a rattlesnake. Now imagine a rattlesnake moving 600 meters, and I guess they probably do. But when you actually start taking the time, and not just one day, just saying, oh, well, here's a puff adder, oh, okay, it's there tomorrow. But if you start following them on consecutive days, and you start building up a picture of how these snakes are moving, you just realize, wow, we actually know very little about them compared to what you'd think you know about them. So anyway, we try to count this terrain now. You see there's a lot of cover on the ground. It becomes very, very difficult to track them. And so it's becoming more and more difficult to track on this harder substrate with this vegetation. But in the meantime, let's head back to Pride Lands and see what our colleagues down there have got.
Right now we're looking at a knobthorn tree that was housing a small pearl-spotted owlet. We've actually seen this particular owl on this tree for 3 mornings in a row, but we weren't so fortunate to see it. But anyways, I'm very much searching for their little cavity that they're living in, because there's a pair of them that do live here at camp, and in the evenings they can be heard singing their beautiful call, which I'm sure you all know so well. I'm just looking for something else that we can talk about. Where's the squirrel? I'm going to see if I can drive a little bit further forward. I'm just going to test it out. Please bear with us. We're still going through the teething stage of just seeing where we have good signal. But we'll find these little owls again. It was sitting patiently for quite some time, but then I think it had enough and it said, right, don't want to show me. No problem. Going very slow, because I did see it run a road, jump on listening for 2. I'm going to just stop up ahead and we'll have a look for the squirrel, and then if we haven't got anything, we'll just keep searching. We're also waiting for the elephants to come down to the dam to Ndlovu Dam at the Eco Training Camp. They're late. They're not on time, which is very, very naughty of them because the show is going to end soon, which is very sad. And you'll have to wait for the afternoon. I'm just going to quickly scan and all these other smaller knobthorn trees to see where that squirrel has gone. Ha, okay. Sadly, no luck with the squirrel, but we'll keep searching. So off you go back to Tristan to see what other incredible things he's found.
No, not well, Taylor. These leopards are unbelievable how many roads they've walked during the course of last night. So there's tracks for this male leopard. I'll just name the roads just so you can get an idea of how many roads we're talking about. His track is on the Gari Buffalo cut line. His track is on the fire break. His track is on Vuyatela access. His track is on Zoe's road, Rebecca's road, Philemon's dip, Philemon's cut line, Ingwe Alley, Twin Dams road, the Mulawat, and Gari cut line. That is where we for male and female leopard this morning on all of those roads. Oh, and Aubrey's and Sandy Patch. So what I'm doing now is, I'm just trying to figure out exactly which ones lead to where, because it's just this complicated web of tracks at the moment, and it's hard to know which ones are the freshest. Because it's winter and the sand is soft, a lot of the tracks do good, but now with a bit of wind picking up, than the ones from last night. So that's what we're hoping to find. Interestingly enough, there's also a track for a single lioness in amongst all of this as well. Just in case we didn't want to complicate things too much, we just throw a lioness in there as well. She's just living her best life walking around. So yeah, we're just trying to figure out where everybody ends up going. It seems like it was a very, very, very busy night on Juma. Everybody has walked pretty much everywhere. Mrs. Zero, you're most correct. It would have been quicker to tell you the roads he didn't walk on, that's for sure. But her too, it's not like she's not on these roads as well. She's on pretty much all those roads. Well, it's chaos at this stage. All right, now I'm going to just quickly check towards Treehouse Dam here and then loop back around, see what's happening. I think these cats are still somewhere around the quarantine area. While I do that, let's send you...
Thanks, Tristan. Well, we found another herd of elephants. We are still trying to figure out where these two leopards have gone. As Tristan said, it's all over the place. Now, where he's picked up those other tracks are kind of where I anticipated. The tracks headed that direction, and then there were alarm calls, and then we went to the dam because of the elephants, and now there's more elephants, and now there's a roadblock. So, we're just going to have to wait. But there's worse roadblocks in the world to be in than one with a herd of elephants. This one on the right, there's a boy who's just come barging into this herd. He's giving everybody a very good sniff. Male and female alike. He's not a fully mature bull. Doesn't mean he's not interested though. See, there's some tactile communication happening there. Everybody rubbing up. It's possible he even knows many of the members of this herd. The fact that they're tolerating his presence. Normally a bull of that size is pushed away from a herd of elephants, but it's possible he's a bigger brother or a known cousin. See, he's busy sticking his trunk into the mouth of that elephant. Ellen, no, definitely not. Obviously, oh, we've got some birds of prey there, BK. Oh, African hawk eagle. Sorry, African harrier hawk flying. The top one. And there's two others. It's possibly one of them is a juvenile. Learning from mum. And then the other one I'm not quite sure. It's uncommon for birds of prey to have two offspring, but off they fly. But so Ellen wants to know if elephants are tolerated, and definitely not. I mean, breeding herds divide up when they get large, and then the adult females end up knowing each other. If they do split up into groups, they all still form very, very close bonds with each other. When they see each other, you'll see them come up and they'll wrap their trunks, and they'll put their trunks in the mouth of their friend or relative, and there'll be huge amounts of communication. You see what that young bull's doing as well? He's putting his trunk in the mouth of that one and blowing air in there and all sorts of chemicals. There's an organ of Jacobson in the roof of the mouth of an elephant and many animals, and it's able to give all sorts of information to that elephant without any vocal communication, which is quite interesting. And if one comes in and is tolerated like this by the females, then what's he putting in his mouth there? Then it's he's got a wet stone. Look at that. Oh, I've got a stone. He's sucking on it. No, he's not sucking on it. It's actually mud, everybody. That's what he's doing. He's picked up some mud, and elephants and many animals are, when they start lacking certain minerals, nutrients, especially minerals, they start eating them. So soil, called geophagy, the eating of earth, it's to gain and access nutrients or minerals that might be lacking in your diet. Just like we go to the shop and get something in tablet form, many of the things are available out in nature. Calcium in bones, copper and in soil, and many other things in the soil as well. Some animals will even eat the dung. There we go. And he goes again. Will even eat the dung of a... Look at them both wrapping their trunks. It's so cool to see, which means that they do certainly seem to know each other. It's lovely. But if what we saw before with that big herd by the dam, I didn't see too much of it, but young bulls were being pushed away from the herd because they just cause trouble and they show sexual interest in the females. So young males are generally not tolerated around a breeding herd. Teresa says it gives a new meaning to eating dirt. Yes, it does. It's a very common practice, actually. You see many animals doing it. If anybody knows anything about cattle rearing, you've probably heard of salt licks that people put down for animals to lick. That's to obviously give salt in the form of sodium, and you can put different minerals in there as well. And animals will actively seek out those licks to access nutrients and minerals that they are lacking in the vegetation. And it generally starts happening in towards the winter months when plants start lacking or losing a lot of those very important minerals. And also to supplement for areas where those minerals might be lacking. Called geophagy. Very good. Well, we're going to try and get through this roadblock. In the meantime, send you over to Sean, who's got himself a giant of an elephant.
So this guy has just now finished drinking. He's been drinking the entire time. He's put back a lot of water. But now he's done. You can see he's deciding where to go. He might go through those reeds, maybe even just go there to eat some of them. He's big. He's a very, very tall elephant. I mean, it's hard for you to see. Oh, there we go. You see, he's just putting them straight into his mouth. He didn't even rip them with this trunk there. There we go. Now he's using his trunk to rip some of them off. But I don't know if you can see there, but when he turns, so his tusk closest to us is quite short. But his other one is maybe half again bigger on the other side, his other tusk. I'm hoping he's going to turn and face us. So you can see. I mean, you know, these reeds here that he's eating are incredibly sharp. You know, you drive through them, and if they poke you, it hurts. They stab into you. I mean, the fact that he can just, you know, Oh, okay. So we're going to carry on watching this guy eat, but it sounds like over at andBeyond Phinda, Jared has managed to find some cheetahs.
Hello everyone and welcome back. So we've got some exciting news from you. We've just come across 2 male cheetah just in time before the end of the show. So we've just lost them briefly here, but you'll get them again. They're not too far from the vehicle at the moment. They are heading towards another road. Hopefully when they get on that road, they'll keep on walking. There they are, to the left. Yes. So it is 2 males, older males of around 10 years old, and they are the dominant male cheetah of the south of the reserve. And if they're on the move at the moment, it can be one of 2 reasons. One is that they're off busy hunting, and secondly, they could be territory marking. But we haven't seen them mark their territory yet, so I do suspect that they're busy hunting. Now, the cheetah here on Phinda have actually become specialists in hunting in thick areas. So your very typical cheetah would hunt in an open area, where the cheetah that we have here on Phinda often will hunt in thick areas, and they hunt a lot of Ngala. A lot of people expect cheetah to really just hunt impala, duiker, reedbuck, but here our cheetah do tend to hunt quite a lot of Ngala. And so the area that they're going through at the moment is a very good area for those species. There we go, we've got one of the males just up ahead. We've got another male in the road here. How awesome. 2 male cheetah. Sort of past the prime of their life at the moment, so maybe only a year or 2 left that they're going to remain the dominant males in the south of the reserve, and some of the younger males in the reserve may come and take over from them. Each other or behind each other, they have split up, and this just allows that if the one flushes an antelope out of the grass or out of a thicket, it may run towards the other male. Alright, so hopefully we're going to be able to stick with them for a while. It is getting a little bit thick here, and we are in an area that we do battle with signal. Cobalt, they are most certainly lean machines, and they need to be lean like this. It just suits the way that they hunt. So your typical cheetah would hunt in an open area where they rely heavily on their speed, and so their lean body just allows them to be streamlined. They've got extremely long legs to be able to get up to the pace that they get up to. Alright, so we've just got them up ahead. It is a little thick here. Hold on, watch out for the branches, everyone. Tuck yourselves in. Right, they are just to the right. Incredibly well camouflaged. You'll see that tawny color coat with the dark spots just allows them to perfectly camouflage in this grass. There we go, we've got them just up ahead again. Ooh, they're making my life very difficult. They're being stubborn. They're not walking on the roads, they're crossing over the roads, and that is because if they walk along the roads, they are going to be seen, and that is not what they want. So they are walking directly into the wind, so they've got cover to their favor, they've got the wind to their favor. So who knows what might happen. Alright, there we go. Have a look at those incredibly lean bodies. You'll notice very, very small head as well, all just to aid with that streamlined body. Long, long tail, just to help with a bit of balance when they're busy chasing after an antelope. They use that tail to help them balance when they're running at those top speeds and almost as a rudder. Very different tail to lions and leopards, where a lion and a leopard has a very rounded tail, where a cheetah has a tail that's quite thin and long, and just helps to act just like a rudder of a boat. Where are you guys going? Nope, they've just changed direction. It is, for us, when we track cheetah on foot, when we're trying to track them down, they are very difficult animals to track. A lion and a leopard will often walk in one direction and keep going straight in that direction. Cheetahs will often zigzag. And this zigzagging... So, Deb, you are correct. It's amazing how these animals are able to adjust according to their habitat, and you find that with most species. And that's why a lot of the research you read is only valid for the certain areas that they're in. All right, so we're going to cross over to Dylan. Hopefully these cheetah walk into a little bit more of an open area. Although that they do have cheetah there in Tswalu, I don't think they're with one at the moment.
So we've been just looking at some brown hyena tracks along the road here, and I'm so chuffed to hear that our colleagues down in Phinda actually had a good sighting of cheetah this morning. They can be remarkably elusive cats, you know, considering their size, and the fact that they go in coalitions. You know, your males, there's a group of them together, 2, 3, 4. So one would think, oh, it can't be that difficult, but it's actually pretty challenging cheetah, and especially in that environment where there's a lot of hard ground. So kudos to those guys down there. But we just had a look at, there's some really nice hyena tracks here. The sand's quite soft. But these are brown hyena tracks. I'm looking at the hind track here, the front track here, sorry, which is quite large. Spotted hyena tracks are actually even larger than this. I'm just going to give you an idea, you know, in terms of my handprint there, to give you some idea. That's the size of my handprint there. There's the hyena track. It is soft sand, so it splays out a little bit more. If you can just move across a little bit, pan a little to this side here. There's the front track over there, the hind track, sorry. Getting my back and front mixed up here. There's the hind track there, considerably smaller than the front track. But this is one way that we know it's brown hyena, not spotties. I mean, there's just a big size difference on these. So this is what we want to start following up on over the next couple of weeks. It'll be great to get individuals, sightings of individuals, but if we can somehow locate a den site, then that's going to be absolutely, you know, sublime viewing, to say the least. But this will be going forward. So we're just going to carry on down here. I'm hoping to see sign of either the coalition or the female with cubs, the cheetah. But yeah, we'll just give it a bash and see how it goes. It's warming up nicely now, so a lot of the animals are going to start actually going to ground, getting some shady spots. It's a freak. It is exciting, eh? And it's not exciting because it's a brown hyena. You know, it could be exciting because it's a praying mantis that we locate hidden away, tucked away in a bush somewhere. It could be a dove's nest. It could be, you know, elephants down in Ngala, or new leopard cubs, or an antlion pitfall trap. You know, it's just exciting being out, and for me, being able to share it with people, like yourselves, and having you with us on these journeys is just great. Because for me to go out and enjoy it by myself, it's kind of like, I love it, but it's actually really, for me, the special part is being able to share this with people and that. So thanks for coming along on the journey. And there's a lot more that we're going to see over the coming weeks. So, but let's head down this road, and hopefully we find something else. Oh, it's a beautiful morning out here. Another tough day in Africa. Vicky, the reason they're called brown hyena is their entire coat is a lovely dark chocolatey brown, like 70% chocolate, dark brown. Beautiful. They've also got stripes on their legs. Sometimes those stripes are very indistinct. And then, you know, if you compare it to a spotted hyena, it's like that kind of like pale grey color, obviously with spots, as the name implies. But they get those beautiful bear-like rounded ears. brown hyena have got super cool pointy ears. These like long, shaggy brown coat, stripes on the legs, and pointed ears. Those are the kind of like immediate differences that spring to mind. And there's a couple of other things as well, but they're just super cool animals. It sounds like Sean is getting quite peckish, so I think he's going to go home and have himself a nice meal of bacon and eggs, freshly baked bread, that kind of stuff. So head over to him, and we're going to carry on our game drive, so stick with us.
Dylan, indeed, I am getting a little bit hungry. And we left that elephant. He continued to eat, and sort of headed off into the reeds. So now we're driving along the side of the river. You went into areas. We had tracks of a leopard, a male leopard, which we believe to be Tamburi Tom, but he crossed out off of our eastern boundary, unfortunately. So now we're just taking a nice, slow, easy drive, seeing what there is, heading back towards the camp. It's been a fantastic morning. I mean, our lions, and then that lions at Phinda, and now andBeyond Phinda's got the cheetahs, and then Dylan had the mongoose, and Juma had tracks, and everyone's doing a good job. It was a fantastic morning, great way to spend our Wednesday morning, and it should promise to be a fantastic day. And nice and hot here. We're making a potjie for dinner tonight. So we're just going through our options for that, seeing what our plan is going to be. But otherwise, having a really good time. It's just nice to be out here, I'm hoping along here, maybe some tracks of a female. If you were with me 4 days ago, her in a cab with that carcass at the hyena stall was just off to our right hand side here, like right up there. So just having a look. Annette, it would be very exciting if we had to find Tamburi Tom this afternoon. But Annette, I think he might be off of Ngala. So we're going to have a look and see. Hopefully he comes back in. We never know. But we'll see what tracks we can find. But while we continue seeing what tracks we can find, planning our breakfast, what we'll do, send you across to Steve. And I think he's also planning breakfast at Juma.
Breakfast is going to be wonderful, to be honest. We've been tracking all morning, and the tracks of Tswalu and what we believe to be Moati are everywhere. We're trying to figure out how they're covering as much distance as they have. And I'm having a feeling that, because when leopards or lions mate, the male and female get together, and then they don't go very far. The female normally moves a bit, and the male will just follow her constantly, but they never go too far. But it's possible that she's obviously been looking to mate, and now she's met Moati, and maybe doesn't quite like him, doesn't think he's dominant enough, and she just keeps moving, and he just keeps following. Because once a male leopard finds a female in estrus, he won't let her go. He'll just follow and follow and follow. So we're debating whether that's what's happening, but Tristan and I both just had a long chat now. We're both going around this block for one more chance, but maybe we're just going to have to work this afternoon when it gets a bit darker. Maybe it's him that's doing the leading, but I doubt it. I doubt it. Because she would just allow him to mate, and then she would just lie down right there, and then she might move a little bit, but not far. You normally find a mating pair just slowly moving where they are, but not. Meg, positive vibes indeed. I just heard some Franklins. Alarm calling. If they do that again, I'm going to go in. It's been a wonderful morning coming to you live from all of our locations. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. I know I have. Driving around tracking, it's so nice to put your skills to the test, and it doesn't always work out, I'm afraid. Sometimes we're lucky and sometimes we work hard. But it's been nice having the time to track And it's nice when even someone like Tristan does one of these, you know, then you know that's okay. It's a difficult morning. Difficult morning. But we do thank you all for joining us. We'll be seeing you again from all our various locations this afternoon. Thanks for your questions and comments. We'll see you then. Good day and goodbye.